I never thought about it much, but I think you might be right.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, January 13th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gimbo Nation Media Assassination episode 1103.
This is No Agenda.
Preparing for our 2020 Nexit and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas in the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm here with some Jakeman's Throat and Chest Anise-flavored menthol cough suppressant. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Expect to get a case.
Did I throw you off track with my 2020 Nexit? Were you thinking about it?
I heard that. Yeah, it totally had me. Oh my God, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. John and I were talking after the last show, which we rarely do, except during choosing art.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And we're like,
business. We talk business.
And I realized this morning again, it's like everyone's announcing we're 2 years ahead of an election. I think you and I really only can do 24 months of this, and then we'll just either, we have to just stop.
I am just. Yeah,
we've been thinking about this. So it just might be time to let some younger folk in to do this.
Therein lies the rub.
What?
Well, the problem. Oh, there goes the Zephyr.
Ah, thank goodness.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8?
Only
What?
8? What?
Holy mackerel! That's the smallest Zephyr I've ever seen.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
Yes, therein lies the rub, you said.
Yeah, therein lies the rub.
Do tell.
Well, the problem is the dimensionality of our show really relies on the fact that both of us are we're old.
Yeah, we have
a lot of
experience. Yeah, and stories.
And I have experience. In fact, I have the kinds of experiences, including working during the summer when I was in high school, and I think even maybe the 8th grade, because there were jobs available for kids. It was like not uncommon, and where you get a lot of varied experience. And then you can relate some of the things you've learned over a long period of time. It's pretty hard for somebody to just waltz in and, with book learning and really be able to accomplish what we do.
Okay. But still, that's nothing to do with us.
Well, yeah. Well, that's that.
We're just going to be so tired of this crap. It's unbelievable. It's hard. It's a hard job protecting people's amygdala.
Well, it is, and it doesn't. The media, of course, doesn't help at all. My favorite thing was I saw it for 2 or 3 places, and I'm noticing this, and I've talked about it on the show before, but now I realize it's one of those code words that the left uses when they do their writing.
Oh, okay.
To signal. It's this word. I'm on your side, and the word is it's a phrase, lashed out.
Yeah. Yes.
So Amy does it all the time. I noticed in Mother Jones, there's a big headline. Donald Trump lashed out at 34-year Navy SEAL. This is talking about McRaven, who's actually a 4-star admiral, which seems a little more impressive than being a SEAL.
Right.
But apparently everybody else felt that being a SEAL was more important. And it was easier to say he lashed out. So I found where he lashed out. And this is McRaven lashes out, or Trump lashes. Just the clip that says McRaven.
Bill McRaven, retired admiral, Navy SEAL, 37 years, former head of U.S. Special Operations.
Hillary Clinton fan.
Special Operations.
Excuse me, Hillary Clinton fan.
Who led the operations, commanded the operations that took down Saddam Hussein and that killed Osama bin Laden, says that your sentiment is the greatest threat to democracy in his lifetime.
He's a Hillary Clinton backer and an Obama backer. And frankly,
he was a Navy SEAL.
Wouldn't it have been nice if we got Osama bin Laden a lot sooner than that?
I'm not sure why he said that.
That's your lashing out.
I don't know if it would have made any difference if we got him any sooner than we got him.
Well, the thing that was interesting in that clip, and you couldn't quite hear it, is that as Trump is complaining about McRaven, Chris Wallace
is rolling his eyes.
No, he's aghast at everything. He says, but he's a 37-year Navy SEAL, as if that's some sort of I guess when if you're a Navy SEAL I don't think he worked as a SEAL.
No, probably not.
Doing demolition for 37 years, but he was a SEAL for 37 years. He says that as though it's some sort of makes him an untouchable. You can't say anything about these guys.
Well,
why is that?
That's the elite of our armed forces who need to be at war continuously. They are the true heroes.
There was also this was part of a series of interviews Chris Wallace did with Trump, and I'm going to play a short part of another one. It's a 152 clip. It's not the whole thing, but I'm going to set it up. This is Chris Wallace and Trump and discussing fake news, where Wallace talks about fake news and does the correct Trump quote, but very slowly still finds that if you say fake news is the enemy of the people, you are saying, and Wallace is totally convinced of this, you are saying the media.
Oh, really? So it's not the fake news, it's the media.
Fake news, according to Chris. I mean, if you listen to him and the way he defends or attacks Trump, essentially, he is flabbergasted. Trump keeps trying to say, no, I'm saying fake news. I'm not talking about the media. I like the media. Now, fake news.
Wait a minute. And who is he talking with? Chris Wallace of Fox.
And by the way,
right.
I will say this. If you heard if you heard any of this stuff, it's so obvious that Chris Wallace is a major Democrat.
I think just to reiterate for anyone who's relatively new, because we haven't actually broached this topic in a couple of months. Trump, and the way we always understood it was Trump said fake news is the enemy of the people, not the journalists, not free press, not the news media. No, fake news media. I think he did once say, yes, CNN, fake news. I think he equated them to fake news.
I think he said CNN fake news more than once.
Yeah, but he actually, in context of fake news being the enemy of the people. So
yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Let's get to the bigger issue. In 2017, last year, you tweeted this, and I want to quote it accurately. The fake news media is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people.
It's true, 100%. Not the media. I'm glad you're finally quoting it correctly, because they like to leave the fake news.
Okay,
out.
but that's what you said.
Fake news. So the people that are supporting me in particular, they're very smart people. They're hardworking, brilliant, great people. They know when the news is fake. And they get angry when they see all of the fakeness. Frankly, the networks.
There have been people who've been critical of other presidents. No president has liked his press coverage. John Kennedy, in your Oval Office, canceled the subscription to the New York Herald Tribune. Nobody called it the enemy of the American people.
Chris, I'm calling the fake news is the enemy. It's fake. It's phony.
They'll take something good. It's just news you don't like.
No, it's not. No. I don't mind getting bad news if I'm wrong. If I do something wrong, like, for instance, the cemetery, I was not allowed to go because of the Secret Service, because they expected to take a helicopter. Okay. They had zero visibility. They said, sir, we are totally unequipped for you to go. In addition to that, the cemetery was far too far away from Air Force One, which is sort of like a control center where you had to be near. Now, one paper that I saw wrote it that way. They said I stayed out of it because of the rain. And yet, the following day, I made a speech at the American Cemetery. It was pouring. It wasn't even really raining the first day, but the fog was tremendous, okay?
But, sir, leaders in authoritarian countries like Russia, China, Venezuela, now repress the media using your words.
Fake. 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 You are fake news.
This is fake news.
So either Wallace isn't listening, which is likely, but he's also been infected.
He's totally infected. He's not listening at all. And then he goes on to say that Russia, China, and Venezuela are using his words to justify media suppression. With or without his words, they have media suppression. What is his point? But he will not, as far as he's concerned, fake news is the media, and Trump says the media is the enemy of the people. That is the way it turns out. If you listen to the whole thing, it's like it's a jaw dropper. He's not
And Trump
even way on Trump's side on this argument.
Trump even thought that he was. Oh, I'm so glad you bring that up. You're on my side. No.
You know it's true. This is fake news.
These are so good.
You know it's fake news.
We haven't played those in a long time.
Yeah.
Well, there is some help on the horizon, unless you have more of the Chris Wallace interview.
No, that's all I have of that little bit, because of the lashing out.
The lashing out. Fake news
Keep an eye out for that phrase, people.
Fake news is going to be combated. Your savior is here. It's called NewsGuard.
Well, you got to think of it as the credit catch-22.
Oops, wrong clip. With my incredibly cool intro.
Yeah.
We'll try it again. We'll cut it out. No one will ever know I did it wrong. NewsGuard.
And now there's a great plugin to help you navigate through the world of fake news. It's called NewsGuard. It won't ping up fake news alerts like the anti-virus software when you click on a story link. For now, NewsGuard provides descriptions for news sources, not individual articles or stories. So there's a whole rating system with as many as 9 criteria. Stuff like the responsibility of journalists or telling apart news from opinion, to name a couple.
We use humans, not algorithms, to identify unreliable news because we believe our work should be done with transparency and accountability.
So this is very interesting little project that is popping up and is getting some ink this weekend, NewsGuard. And I installed the plugin so you don't have to. This is great. So the way it works, is you install the plugin, has a little shield, of course. I got 18 of these shields now. Everyone's got a shield. And
what's the shield?
Well, right now,
why would you have more than one?
Oh, no, I have a shield for my ad blocker. And, so there's all kinds of shields. You have to have protection. So it fits right in with this is protecting me from viruses and malware. And it's right there.
Probably based on the same kind of gestalt.
Yes, the gestalt is correct. But they have a rating system, and they really do it not based on articles, but based on the website, maybe even the domain name. So they have 9. Oh yeah. So when you hit a page, and it'll show you varying degrees of safety in this little icon.
Safety.
Yeah. So if it's green, you're safe. If it's red, you're not safe. You go to InfoWars, it's red with an exclamation mark. Which
they got their own category.
They do. Let me
Grand Premier Grand Cru.
Yes. Let me go to Infowars.com and click. It goes red with an exclamation mark. Proceed with caution. This website generally fails to maintain basic standards of accuracy and accountability. And then it has little information. Oh, it says a site founded and run by radio host Alex Jones that has reported, among other false stories, that 9/11 was orchestrated by the Bush administration and the 2012 mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School was a hoax. And you can click on something that says, see the full nutrition label.
What?
Yes. Right underneath that. So I'm on the
going with a different. So they're using all the memes.
Yeah. Let me take a look at what happens when you click on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see the nutrition label.
Oh my goodness, this is a whole report about ownership and financing.
Is there sorbate in there? That's what I like to know.
No. So it has a full web page about ownership, the content, credibility, transparency, history. So that's the nutrition label.
Somebody's done some work.
Now let's go back for a second and take a look at. Hold on a second. Let me click on this again. And underneath it, so it has the categories that it has to adhere to. Credibility, it does not repeatedly publish false content. Interesting.
That's a plus.
It has an X, so that means it does, I guess.
Oh.
So it has X's and check marks. So on the X side, credibility does not repeatedly publish false content. I guess they do, so that means an X. Another X for gathers and represents information responsibly, whatever that means. X. Regularly corrects or clarifies errors. X. Handles the difference between news and opinion responsibly. I'd love to see CNN.com. We'll go in a second. X. Avoids deceptive headlines. X. Now, we do have a couple of checks. Website discloses ownership and financing. Clearly labels advertising. Reveals who's in charge, including any possible conflicts of interest. and the site provides names of content creators along with either contact or biographical information. So they're hitting all these categories and have this criteria, and it's just what I said. It's credibility, transparency, and they have all these little boxes. Let's just for a joke, let's just look at CNN, because I don't think they understand the difference between opinion and news. No, CNN gets a green check. All good to go.
Of course
there.
they do.
Give me let's try Dvorak.org. Or what would be, is it blog.dvorak.org?
No, Dvorak.org/blog is what it is officially.
Okay, Dvorak.org/blog. You have it empty. Your shield is empty. You're neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, that sounds
wait!
right.
Submit this site for review.
Oh, we'll do it.
Yeah, here we go. And I have to submit my email address, which is john@dvorak.org. Submit. The site was submitted for review by our staff. No, we'll stay tuned for that. But here's what's a little more interesting for you and I, and for our No Agenda producers. Let's take a look at who these people are. Who is running this news guard? Let's see if we know anybody here. Oh, they got a lot of staff. John Alsop, do we know him? No. No one I really recognize here, but I did recognize a couple of members of the advisory board. Tom Ridge.
Tom Ridge, the guy, Homeland Security guy?
Under Bush, yep. Richard Stengel, former editor of Time Magazine.
Yeah.
And Undersecretary of State in the Obama administration.
Yeah, these Obama bots.
Well,
not Ridge, but...
General Michael Hayden, former director of CIA. John Baer, he's a lawyer. Elise Jordan, political analyst, NBC, former speechwriter for Condoleezza Rice. John Battelle, was he Wired Magazine?
John Battelle's on there?
Yes, on the advisory board, along with Jessica Lesson.
Leslie, yeah. She's the girl that runs
the
online news site.
The Information. And then we have, are there investors?
Well, I will say this, these people, except for Ridge, are all very left-leaning.
The investors, I don't know all these names. Stephen Brill. Why does that ring a bell?
Stephen Brill's an old hack from New York who did Brill Magazine. And
that's right. Brill, yes.
He's a very famous kind of
hack
guy that's never really made out much.
Gordon Krovitz means nothing to me. Nicholas Penniman IV and Nicholas Penniman V, nothing. Here's my favorite. The Publicis Group. Pretty much the
relations operation, one of the big boys.
And if you look now at what they have, and I think this is ultimately what this thing is about, it's not about protecting you.
No, it's about protecting the income of the Publicis Group.
Yes, and we see this by looking at the menu of NewsGuard, newsguardtech.com. We have ratings, how it works, news literacy, press, about us, brand safety. Let's click on brand safety. Yes, finally, it says here, a way to protect brand safety by keeping ads off unreliable news websites. So this is a very interesting way to approach their brand safety issue, which we know has been a problem since advertising on the internet, since day one.
Yeah.
So now, instead of them having to figure out where they should, you have these networks, these ad networks, and they buy it on a real time, almost like a stock market basis, and it just floods everything. And no matter how many times Angry Gorillas or what's that outfit named? Sleeping Giants.
I don't know.
Sleeping Giants. That's they're one. They always shame everyone. Oh, you're advertising on Tucker Carlson, or you're advertising on Breitbart. Do you know that this ad network is running your ad on this horrible Nazi website? So now they won't have to worry about that because everyone can protect themselves, and that will protect the safety of the brands. Because remember,
you're right. You nailed it. We did a real-time analysis on the spot.
And that's what it is. Boom.
That's exactly what it is.
It's to protect.
It's a scam.
It's not for you. It's for your God, the advertiser. Everyone in America knows who the real boss is. There you go. Nice. Any other website you want me to check with the News Guard before I uninstall this?
Okay, you got CNN. You already gave them. They get the green light for. They're the best.
Yeah, let's try Fox News.
Yeah, how about Fox? We see they go more sketchy with Fox.
See Fox News. Oh, green. Fox goes full green. this is not against mainstream left or right. This is against independence.
Yeah, let's find some independence. What's a good independent? How about
Breitbart?
Yeah, oh, perfect. Good one. Yes, Breitbart.
Oh, red with an exclamation mark.
Breitbart's bad.
No, very bad.
No, Drudge then. Put Drudge, see if they have anything on him.
Drudge. Okay. Drudge. Empty. He just says empty. Empty. No News Guard rating yet.
What else is there? There's there's the regular ones. I can't think of any offhand, but there's probably a couple that would show up oddly. Try stars and stripes.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
I went to Wikipedia. Wikipedia gets a blue icon shield with a little eye for information. Let's see what it says. This website is a platform that publishes content from its users that it does not vet. Information from this source may not be reliable. Huh. What do they say on Twitter? I think there's a lot of fake news there, isn't there?
Twitter's loaded.
Twitter has nothing. No rating.
Well, they should have something because that's where the advertisers are thinking of putting their money.
That's the most important part. Yeah.
What about Facebook then?
Can't log in, but I can go to the page. No, it's the same. It's just empty. Empty. How about Snopes?
Snopes doesn't take advertising. Why would they bother?
Snopes is good to go. Green check mark, all good. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's about the advertisers.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the biggest, or I don't know if they're the biggest, but one of the investors is Publicis. One of the biggest advertising conglomerates out there.
Huge public relations advertising operation that's monstrous.
Yes.
And they're looking for any way they can to streamline their brand safe, knowledge.
Bull crap.
So they don't have to look at anything. These guys, years ago when the advertising buyers took over the place, all a bunch of just graduated women from Ivy League colleges that don't look at any of the magazines at all. They just go by a bunch of reports and then they pick magazines to put the ads, and you're a dumb advertiser. You go along with their program, and next thing you know, you're all over you end up accidentally getting into unbrand safe situations that they become embarrassing. This is a way of getting around that. We run everything through this operation. This is part of a sales pitch. It's fantastic.
Of course, advertising on the internet is just at the end of its rope.
It's a scam.
Yeah, well, it truly is. I mean, you take all the fake audience into account and the arbitrage between fake clicks and so-called views and bots and all this stuff. Yeah, obviously.
Why don't they instead of doing anything for looking for brand safe websites via this phony mechanism, how about something that really clamps down on bots?
Well, there was an interesting thread on Slashdot that I was reading yesterday, the day before. And the question was, do bots, social media bots, have freedom of speech? And I think, seriously, if you think about Congress shall make no laws regarding the freedom of speech, it doesn't stipulate that's just people. I mean, if money is speech, which the Supreme Court ruled, I think Twitter or social media bots have free speech too. Ultimately,
let's say that they have free speech.
Mm-hmm.
So what? They still shouldn't be pumping up the numbers on some site because they may have free speech, which we've determined that they do just right now.
Real time, baby.
They have any buying power. They got no buying power.
They have no purchasing power. They're useless. Now, just along these lines, when we were talking about net neutrality, which California has now, I think, is just all in.
Supposedly.
And we have a number of gripes about it, and we think it's very bad, and it's a bad idea because you do not want to give any type of regulatory powers over the internet to government body. And one of the main things, if you can recall, is about what your internet provider would be able to block. Do you remember the terminology?
No.
Unlawful network traffic or unlawful content.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because there's
torrents.
story that came out today. An alarming piece of legislation is about to enter into force in India next month, mandating that social media platforms such as Facebook remove unlawful content, such as posts that affect the sovereignty and integrity of India, meaning that this law could easily be abused by New Delhi to demand the internationally recognized Pakistani map to be banned because it contradicts India's maximalist claims to Kashmir. And so the point I bring up here is that here is a country saying that map is not legal, it is unlawful, and therefore you may not surface that on your platforms. Literally the definition of unlawful content by an authoritarian regime.
Yeah. And there you go. And there's your net neutrality.
There's your net neutrality in a box with a bow around it.
Yeah. One of many examples, I'm sure.
But let's just stick on free speech for a second.
Okay.
Here it is. This is quick news report.
A legal victory for the families of victims of the Sandy Hook shooting massacre in Newtown, Connecticut. The families of 6 victims won pretrial access to information about controversial host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and his program InfoWars. The family sued Jones for defamation for his repeated claims that the deadly shooting was a hoax. 20 elementary students and 6 educators were murdered during that rampage.
So this is billed. The headline is a little different than this kind of sober report. The headline is Alex Jones loses legal battle. You know, you think the guy's already lost the whole court case, but they're actually allowed to subpoena company records and I think internal documents.
And Jones's operation?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that should be interesting.
So is
they're not going to find. What are they going to find?
But hold on. Is he protected under free speech? Is he protected under the freedom of the press?
Yeah.
Don't.
What's that got to do with this case? When you're getting sued,
well, he's being sued
for protected from investigation. You're not protected from discovery.
He's being sued for defamation.
Yeah, if you're being sued for defamation and the discovery thing goes through, you can start climbing through people's records.
Well, but I'm asking a different question.
Yeah.
Okay. If your news gathering, I'm just trying to look at it 360, a whole perspective. If your news gathering brings you to the conclusion that this was either fake, false flag, hoax, and you keep repeating that, is that invalid reporting? It could be fake news, but it's still news.
I think if you do the work and those are the conclusions you draw without any underlying prejudices, like CNN or New York Times, for that matter, according to Jill Abramson.
Yeah. But only under iPad.
I think, it's fine. But I think what they're trying to do is circumvent. Here's just what you said, what you asked, which is a logical question, and what they're doing makes me think that they're trying to prove that that's not what happened. Jones didn't do any work on this, and there's a memo in there. Someone saying, "Hey, we can milk this and sell more vitamins."
You don't think there's a memo like that at NBC?
Well, the NBC's not being sued.
No, of course not. But so yes, gotcha. And would that then still not be considered journalism?
I think you would be, well, in so far as slander and libel is concerned. I think that'd be a smoking gun.
But definitely discreditation of alternative news sources.
Yeah,
because he bills himself as a news source.
Yeah. And you do get some news from his operation. Sometimes it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's not a news source. I think he is a news source generally. He just wraps it in a lot of vitriol and showmanship.
Yeah, no different than lots of M5M outfits.
Right.
Jim Acosta, showmanship.
Oh, Acosta's one of the worst.
Yeah. I loved his thing at the wall, though. His stand-up was great.
Yeah, he was doing I saw that, too.
I'm here, and there's no problem at the wall. I didn't quite understand. Do you think that the editor just was like, it's Acosta, we'll just put his thing on. He's always good, don't have to worry about it, and they didn't watch it?
Well, there's a place that someone should go in and look for the hidden agenda. For example, CNN reached out to KUSI, and I have a clip here where KUSI. Yeah, this
is a good story. Now, is KUSI an affiliate of any network, or are they completely independent?
They may be independent. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. As you play, or you can look it up. But anyway, they called KUSI because KUSI is down on the border, and they wanted to get they didn't want to send anyone there. And so they decided to get some local reporters to do a story on the border wall. And the story didn't come out the way CNN wanted it because they find that the border wall would be effective. And so CNN just spiked it.
As a sign of the...
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to say that it pissed these guys off enough that they do this report.
As a sign of the times in this debate on the shutdown, CNN asked if KUSI would provide a reporter to offer our local view of the debate, especially to learn if the wall works in San Diego.
KUSI offered our own Dan Plant, who's reported many times that the wall is not an issue here. In fact, most officials believe it is effective. The issue we face is the migrants and the debate over their treatment.
Now, knowing this, CNN declined to have us on their programs, which often present the wall as not required in other places, like the stretch of the Texas border the president visited earlier today. They didn't like what they heard from us.
Just some background for you.
I think CNN is doubling down, aren't they? Nah, we deny reports all the time.
Let's see what these guys
McKinnon Broadcasting, and McKinnon owns KIII in Corpus Christi, which is an ABC affiliate, KBMT in Beaumont, which is also an ABC affiliate, NBC subchannel affiliate, and KUSI is independent.
Yeah, they look like
but these are probably right wing.
Well,
considered right wing.
Yeah. Maybe. Who knows?
Listen, McKinnon Broadcasting Company does business as Texas Television.
Oh, okay.
So,
they're probably right wing.
Yeah, right wing and haters.
Well, then why would they call them?
Because that's what they do. They troll. Something happens. You troll Twitter. You say, hey, can I DM you to get your story? Hey, can I use your video? Can you give me permission? Hey, can we talk? Hey. That's today's journalism.
Yeah. Shallow.
Extremely shallow. Let's see. Here was the so you played that clip. I might as well play this clip from it's a Democrat. Who is she? She is Representative Jayapal. How
do you spell it?
PAYPAL.
PayPal. Miss PayPal.
Jayapal. JAYAPAL. But you look at the word, you just want to say PayPal every time you see it. Well, here she is with Chris Hayes. And I looked for the original clip because apparently he said something that led her into this. I could not find it. So here's a quick one, which is doing the rounds.
It is fundamentally existential if he continues to insist on a wall. And, you just said it so beautifully, Chris. This has never been about a wall.
It's existential, yeah? Existential.
It is fundamentally...
Well, hold on a second. Let's get this, make sure people understand the definition.
Yes, it means survival of life.
Survival of life. And all life will end.
Well, no, maybe, but she's going to wrap it up in the end. She's saying border wall to Trump is existential because...
It is fundamentally existential if he continues to insist on a wall. And, you just said it so beautifully, Chris. This has never been about a wall. He actually could have gotten funding a couple of years ago or a year ago for a wall. It was part of a deal that was proposed. Not all of us agreed with that deal, but it was proposed to him, and he turned it down because his ultimate goal is, as you said, to make America pure in the sense of not having immigrants, not having folks of color here, and shutting down every form of legal immigration.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really out there.
Yeah. Well, she's a nutcase in Washington State. I don't know what district she's.
What did she say? She said something. She said something interesting there in the middle that I wanted to. Let me see. What was it?
It is fundamentally, but it was proposed to him, and he turned.
Yeah, I remember what was proposed. And I think they actually said that they would, the last time this came around, when there was a brief shutdown as well, it was about DACA, the Dreamers, the Deferred Action Kids. And on the table, I believe that the Trump administration said, okay, not only the million dreamers, it was 800,000, something like that. The million dreamers will let them stay, and they'll give them a pathway to citizenship. And then they balked at it, said, no, because you won't allow chain migration. And I think they said, okay, we'll allow the dreamers and any parents who are here with them. So it upped it to 2.5 million, but that wasn't enough. The Democrats wanted all family to be able to join
chain migration is everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, they wanted every relative, everybody to come. They didn't. The Democrats didn't want.
No, they didn't want it. Exactly, they really didn't want it. Now, as I was looking for this longer clip, I found something that refers back to something AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, said in her rebuttal of the president's speech about the wall on the Rachel Maddow show. And we wondered about this on the last episode.
The president should not be asking for more money to an agency that has systematically violated human rights. The president should be really defending why we are funding such an agency at all. Because right now what we are seeing is death. Right now what we are seeing is the violation of human rights. These children and these families are being held in what are called hieleras, which are basically freezing boxes that no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they're being kept on.
So the freezing boxes, and we were like, oh, hold on a second. What exactly is she talking about? Turns out in June, the same PayPal lady talked about this.
Many of them talked about these facilities that they have nicknames for. One nickname is the ice box because the temperatures are so cold that they liken it to a freezer. Some of these women had crossed the Rio Grande, come out of the river wet to turn themselves in, and were immediately put into these freezing facilities, no blankets, no mats. Another facility they call the...
So really, it's a nickname for the slammer. And I've received a couple of emails about this as well. It's like saying, hey, we put him on ice. We threw him in the cell. Yeah, I'm sure it's not beautifully heated or whatever. It's not the most comfortable place to be. But it's not like the way AOC made it sound is we're putting him into ice boxes.
That's what makes it sound like a specific little thing with a handle on it. And it's like an insulated ice box. And you throw them in there and lock them in.
Yeah, it's
yeah, that's what she makes it sound like.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the worst.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. This was out there. This was the comparison of Trump and Obama on the border situation. This is something that's real. I forget who made it, but it's out there.
We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system once and for all.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul.
In recent weeks, we've seen a surge of unaccompanied children arrive at the border, brought here and to other countries by smugglers and traffickers. The journey is unbelievably dangerous for these kids.
Child smugglers exploit the loopholes and they gain illegal entry into the United States, putting countless children in danger on the perilous trek to the United States. They come up through Mexico.
Protecting public safety and deporting dangerous criminals has been and will remain the top priority.
We will begin removing the more than 2 million criminal illegal immigrants from the country.
But we are going to refocus our efforts where we can to make sure we do what it takes to keep our border secure.
We want to secure our border.
There you go.
Yeah, well.
Draw your own conclusions.
You can do that till the cows come home.
Yeah, but no one does. And the president doesn't do it. Yeah, now he's tweeting. Video. He missed such an opportunity. Why?
No, he misses I think we nailed it last show. He said he should be doing what Ross Perot did.
Yep.
Explain things and show the hypocrisy of the other side by playing clips.
Does he even do a presidential address anymore? Does he do a weekly thing?
That weekly thing?
Yeah. I haven't looked at that in so long.
This is an interesting question because apparently someone whose beat it was to watch those things has
Well, you know what happened? What happened is they changed whitehouse.gov and they removed all RSS feeds and everything
the links and stuff. Yeah.
Total dick move. Not just links, just feeds, the ability to subscribe and see what's going on.
Yeah, there's been a concerted effort to screw with RSS feeds.
Yeah,
I think it's the big media.
It started with Google killing Google Reader.
Yeah, well, Google's an agent of the big media.
They're an agent of change, John. And they did that. No, I think that's when they were coming out with, what was the Google, not Google Groups, what was it called?
Google Plus?
Yeah, Google Plus. I think that's when
Google
they killed
Plus. Didn't they slam the door on that already? They can't make anything work.
So it's not highlighted anywhere on the website, the presidential
Do a
radio
Google
address.
Search. There you go.
That's what I did, and it just shows you lots of CNN things.
No, well, maybe stop doing them.
Remember there was at a certain point, everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to start his own news network." You remember that?
Oh, that was during the election. He was going to lose and start his own network.
No, it was after one of his first kind of weekly addresses.
No, I think your timeline is off.
I may be wrong. Oh, here's a weekly radio address. Oh, here it is. My God, could it be buried any further? What does he have? Yeah, he's got one. No, look at this. Last one he did, February 3rd, 2017.
Oh, so he stopped. He looked at his numbers. He's a TV
hold
guy.
on. Let me just make sure. Is this really right? Is this right? That makes no sense. Screw this. You ruined whitehouse.gov, Trump. Can't even look at it anymore.
He looked at his numbers like a good TV guy would and says, nobody's watching this. They're just using the information against me. I'll tweet.
Yeah, but he could tweet a YouTube of himself.
Yeah, he could. That would be cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of things he's not doing. That's because of the douchebags that he's got working for him.
Yes.
They're not helping him at all. They're all deep state creeps.
Got a note from a Bronx millennial about AOC. A couple of them, actually.
Actually, yeah, I saw that we had 2 notes at least.
Let me see. I want to read this one. I'm a millennial and avid listener who happens to live in AOC's district in Astoria, Queens. It's like, and I happen to be gay. It's like, I happen to live there. Okay. I was not lucky enough to have her knock on my door, nor did any of my friends in the area. I do know of a couple Dimension B members who did meet her at rallies around the area, but I can't speak of anyone meeting her beyond that. It is mentioned much in the M5M that she is from the Bronx, but she is indeed from Yorktown Heights in Westchester, which is just north of the Bronx. Your analysis on the show may not be too far off, as Hillary Clinton's Clinton Foundation funded mansion in New York is in Chappaqua. This is about 20 minutes south of where AOC is from, Westchester County. My only issue with was my theory, is Joe Crowley, who she defeated for the seat. He was an establishment Democrat who also ran as a third-party candidate against her. I don't think he really ran, did he? Did he actually write in for that? I thought he gave up.
I think he gave up.
He may have just been playing his part, but what do I know? Anyway, Amazon HQ2 will soon be jacking up my rent, but I still recently signed up for a monthly donation. While it may be small now, I hope to add to it in the near future as I make Bezos money. Keep doing what you're doing, and please know that there are sane millennials out there who love what you're doing, even if you're 2 old white dudes. Thanks, says Sean.
The other note was very similar. It had it said that there's no chance that Hillary she's too much of an anathema for Hillary to be part of the scheme.
Yeah. Now, is news, and we might as well get out of the way now. News this weekend that maybe Joe Biden's running. He might have told somebody, but no one really knows. Poor old Joe is just not getting anything.
No, he's not. They're going to push him aside as fast as they can.
Yeah, I don't think he has any chance of even getting in the race. But we did have.
Well, he may be in the first round of debates.
We did have one of our Texas boys pipe up, San Antone.
We're going to make sure.
This is Julian Castro.
We're going to make sure that the promise of America is available to everyone in this 21st century. You see, I learned from my mother so many years ago in this community that when we want change, we don't wait for change, we work for it. When my grandmother got here almost 100 years ago, I'm sure that she never could have imagined that just 2 generations later, one of her grandsons would be serving as a member of the United States Congress, and the other would be standing with you here today to say these words. I am a candidate for President of the United States of America.
Yeah!
Isn't it the same guy?
No. He got his brother, Juan, and this is Julian.
Yeah, but isn't Julian the one running?
He's running, yeah.
Isn't he a member of Congress?
No, his brother is. He was the mayor of San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
And these guys, both these brothers, were tipped. We were talking about Professor Pennebaker just the other day, the professor who came up with the whole performatives measurement and tracking of certainly politicians using performatives. When we had one of our dinners, when people still could stand me, before I got kicked out of the OBOT group, he was the one who was saying, no, it's going to be the Castro brothers, maybe Marco Rubio, but the Castro brothers. We won't talk about the Castro brothers. And they'll be fighting against Beto. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, there's a lot of people that I hear these stories, especially back in the Brooklyn area, where there's these publishing operations that have people working there, white girls, who will not vote for Beto.
Really?
Because he's white.
Oh, there's so many white girls I know who love him, and he's also doing the Instagram thing
but
now.
That doesn't mean they're going to vote for him. This woman's the same way. She says, I love Beto. He's the greatest, but I can't vote for him for president because he's white.
Huh. Do you have a clip of that?
I wish.
I'd love to hear a clip of that.
I'm sure there's a clip out there available. I'm sure if you just go man on the street, you can get one.
Yeah.
But the Castro brothers, this doesn't seem like much of a threat to me.
I think that it has changed so dramatically. And one of the people I was a big fan of, and I'm quite sure maybe 5 years ago I said, this is your future president of the United States. Although I think that chance has been diminished because the whole Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, Tulsi. Yeah, we should talk about her.
I have a number of clips.
I've never thought she, when you look into Tulsi Gabbard, she's got 2 or 3 strikes against her. She hasn't got a snowball's chance in hell of going anywhere. And the progressives don't like her.
Oh, they hate her. I mean, I see article after article here. Tulsi Gabbard doesn't deserve your vote in 2020. Tulsi Gabbard's foreign policy sucks. U.S. presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard bought crypto at height of bull market.
Well, that's a slam.
That's like
a hit piece.
Let me pull that article up. I couldn't resist putting that in the show notes. Gabbard, 37, is a fresh, energetic face on the American political scene. However, her chances of winning the Democrat Party's nomination are slim, given the huge field of candidates. As CCN reported, which is probably crypto coin news, Tulsi Gabbard bought between $1,000 and $15,000 of Ether and Litecoin in December 2017. At the time, the Bitcoin price soared to a record high of $19,500.
Oh, God.
She bought at the top of the market. He put that on a disclosure, too. Anyway, she announced this on the Van Jones CNN show.
Yes, Van Jones, which is another, that's why there.
Well, his response was very interesting, and I just pulled a couple of clips that I want to share. We'll start with, the obvious question is why, because she was she was a representative for Hawaii, and she left her re-election campaign to go to be deployed to Iraq. And Van asked her why.
You were sitting in office. You could have gone off to do something else. Yeah. You decided to quit and go put yourself in a war zone. Why'd you do that?
You're right. I mean, being a state representative in Hawaii, being with my family, being with my friends, it was something that I would have been very happy to continue to do. But I knew that there was no way that I could stay home and be safe and comfortable while my brothers and sisters went off to war on the other side of the planet. That's why I left my re-election campaign, volunteered to deploy, got trained in a job that they needed someone to fill, and went to serve with them, to serve our country.
That's sketchy.
I believe that to be true.
I believe that she wasn't going to get reelected.
Maybe. I think she's very sincere, but the problem is she has all of the elements to be to contend in the Beto League. She could even, no, she has no social media skills that I can tell. But, she's she's a surfer, she's an Army vet, she's cute. If she would play that up, bam, she's on the surfboard. Mahalo, bitches, I'm going to run your country. She could do so much, and they would get on Instagram.
Well, she's not going to go that route. There's no doubt about that. For one, let's look at a couple of her downsides. One, she's a Hindu, and that is not going to help getting elected as president until people can maybe see things a little differently. Even though we have other Hindus, and I think most of them tend to be Republicans, that are in office.
You think it's too early for a non-Christian president?
Yes.
Well, what about Obama then?
The second, well, he faked it.
Okay.
Yes, as everyone knows, I think he's a Muslim.
By the way, can I just correct you? Can I just correct you? You never say she's a Hindu. You say she just happens to be Hindu.
Yeah, I think it might be Hindi. The point is, the real one that's got my attention is that she's on the Council of Foreign Relations.
Oh, there's more than that.
How does that work for her?
Yeah. Let's listen to her announcement with Van, but in particular, please listen to Van Jones. Now, this was softball all the way. It was set up. He's setting her up for everything, setting her up with questions. It's a very friendly show. I could go on that show, and I would not make a fool of myself. But Van really has an agenda.
That brings me right back to where I want to go, which is about 2020. Are you going to run for president of the United States and do something about it? Do you think she should? Do you think she should? Are you going to run?
I have decided to run and will be making a formal announcement within the next week.
Whoa. I got some ratings.
Do you hear that, douche? I got the ratings. She just announced that she's going to upend her life to run as a candidate for president of the United States. And Van Jones is thinking, I got ratings.
Yeah, he's a douche.
Listen to this.
He doesn't have ratings, and she should have done it on any other show, especially, Jimmy Fallon or something.
I want to hear him again.
Week. She needs an agent.
Oh. I got some ratings.
I got the ratings. Got the ratings.
So here's what she's up to, I believe. Everyone knows that you're not going to – the 2020 thing is it's either going to go to Hillary or it's going to be very difficult to beat Trump unless they, put so much bad thoughts in the American public's mind that they can actually get somebody in. And it is possible. There are these one-termers that come and go, tend to be of the George Bush. It has to be something to do with the economy. If the economy has a nice collapse just before the election, it's getting a little late for the economic collapse, but it could there's still time.
We're still hopeful.
But the idea, well, I'm not. But the idea is that you want to get your name out there to the point where you can give a major speech, Obama-like, at the Democratic convention. And it has to be well written by a bunch of pros, is what Obama did 4 years before he got the 2004 Democratic convention. He gave this wonderful speech. And when I saw him do that, I said, this guy.
Everybody knew it. Everybody saw it.
Everybody knew it.
Everyone who has a brain. He also was that was the first year they had bloggers at the convention, and he sat down with every single one of them.
He's the smartest one.
Yeah.
So she's hoping to get a spot to give the super speech and maybe get that kind of attention because everyone's going to look for it. That's what you're looking for. We're all looking at 2024. 2020, nobody cares. Hillary may run again, and so I think she still has the upper hand. But in 2024, you're going to have a couple of major people that want to run.
Well,
she's one of them.
It would be AOC who should be doing the.
AOC's too stupid. Gavin Newsom is the guy to keep an eye on.
Oh, Gavin Newsom.
But the problem is, Gavin Newsom is so white.
Yeah.
That he's got a problem. He doesn't even know it. Gavin Newsom has been setting himself up since he was just a guy in San Francisco, running for city council, running for mayor, got the mayor's job. And And he's a good-looking, kind of guy that has a certain attraction to certain kind of women. This big smile. He always says the right things. He's got a slightly gravelly voice. And he's a do-nothing, but that's fine by most people's standards. You just want somebody in there that rubber stamps the Democrat side. But he's white, and the Democrats have created a situation for themselves.
Well, he has taken one social justice warrior step in the right direction by claiming he does not have a first lady. He has a first partner.
Yes, well, he does stuff like that. He's also the one, we had the clip the other day of him, giving away the store. He's making these are mistakes.
Let me play just the final clip I have on Tulsi Gabbard, and this is about running against President Trump.
So how would you take on a Donald Trump? I mean, you seem kind of aloha, and he seems kind of aloha. He's not trying to aloha with your ha.
What?
He's not trying to aloha with your ha. That's ISO worthy now that I think about it.
So how would you take on a Donald Trump? I mean, you seem kind of aloha, and he seems kind of aloha. He's not trying to aloha with your ha.
Aloha. Aloha, which essentially means love. Love for each other. Love for our country. Should not be mistaken for just some feeling. Love is action. When you love someone, you will do anything to fight for them. When you love something, you will go to the end of the earth to fight for it. Love gives us strength. Love gives us courage. Love gives us what we need to overcome those forces of darkness.
What did you say?
You're listening to part of her speech for the convention.
Oh yes, and here comes.
She's woodshedding some stuff here.
Oh yeah, and she's going to finish it up. And now that you say this, absolutely, she's going to finish it with the Martin Luther King quote, which Van Jones does not know.
One of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Martin Luther King, and you know this, where he says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that."
Wow.
Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Give a round of applause.
You hear Van jump in there, thought the quote was over. He doesn't know Martin Luther King. Sorry excuse for a black man, Van Jones.
Good catch.
But you're right. That she's doing her speech right there. Well,
she's working on it. There's bits of it. She's testing. This is the market. This is testing. You on these shows, you test a little bit, see how the reaction is, start putting it together. Then you get some professionals in there to help. If she does that, I think she won't. I don't think she has the chops to do that, but she gets some pros in there, superstars like Obama had that kid who was a genius.
The writer, yeah,
that writer kid. And
wait, is that the same kid who's on the Pod Save America? Is that him? I think
maybe.
So, isn't it? Yeah,
it could be him, that guy.
Yeah,
and then you knock him dead at the convention, but then first there's two problems. One, you got to get a prime time slot.
Yeah, that's the
which
one.
is not that easy, especially since you're already seen as a schmuck by the party, and it's going to be tough. I don't think she has much of a prayer of getting anywhere.
She really doesn't. As much, I guess. What was more or just as interesting to me is how appropriate and really good she was 4 or 5 years ago. She could go somewhere. She's anti-war. She actually the Democratic Party hates her because she went to see Trump pretty quickly after he took office to talk about getting out of Syria. And of course, she's seen as an Assad lover. She's they're grilling her or just roasting her.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, she also did support sending half a billion dollars in troops to Africa to fight Ebola. So she's kind of on my shit list. I do have an update on that. Now, you'll recall that troops went to the Congo for Ebola. Ebola, I guess, is no longer an issue. We don't hear about it anymore. In fact, before the election, people were wrecking the Ebola camps, which seems like a really smart thing to do. If you're really pissed off about your government, to go kick down the tents where people with Ebola are lying down. Unless maybe they didn't have Ebola. I don't know. And we had the shoe-in guy who works for ExxonMobil. I'm now thinking that this may be a U.S.-EU war. And I'll tell you why. Fayula, whatever his name is, the guy who came in runner-up, who was ExxonMobil. He was, tipped to be the guy. We hadn't even heard of the guy who won the election. It was just the son of some radical back in the day who was in Brussels the most recent part of his life doing, quote, odd jobs, as an African in Brussels does. And so now this no-name guy who does have historical ties to the regime that is leaving now, he all of a sudden wins the election. This does not sit well with Africa today.
Thomas, you were outside that court today a short while ago when Fayulu went in to demand the recount, and you managed to catch a few words with him. What did he have to say?
Martin Fayulu told me when he arrived that this election is the people's victory and that it cannot be taken away from the people just because of negotiations between the government and Felix Tshisekedi, because this is what Martin Fayulu fears. He fears that Felix Tshisekedi was given the presidency because he negotiated a power-sharing deal with the current government. The whole morning on Saturday, Martin Fayulu's lawyers were at the Constitutional Court in order to bring all the necessary documents to file the appeal. And among these documents, there are the recounts from every polling station, according to Martin Fayulu and his team of witnesses that were deployed in the field on the day.
So this clip has one other piece of information. So what the accusation here is that this guy came in. He made a deal with the pretty much dictator who's been reigning there for what is now 13 years, I think, who is clearly our guy. I mean, I think that you can't tell me that's the Chinese are doing this now. This has got to be our guy and our guy in, and everything seems to be reasonably calm. But what's really interesting, it's a little hard to hear, is he goes on to say that in the Senate or the Parliament, the guy who won has won 20% of the seats. Like the guy who came in second, his party has majority seats. So it's all screwed up. Not that we didn't expect anything different.
Well, yeah.
But now I'm just trying to figure out who's running who.
Well, we'll find out shortly. They're going to let this simmer for a while. We'll see if there's any more troops going over there. I want to make a correction of the timeline of the Tulsi Gabbard story.
Mm-hmm.
When they're talking about her not running for re-election, they're talking about when she was in the House of Representatives of Hawaii in 2004.
It was not a U.S. Congress. It was state Congress.
So she quit there, and then she went to the battlefield, and then she came back and ran for Congress, U.S. Congress, and she's been there ever since 2013, and she's still there.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. My head was in the Congo.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, with that...
You got the Ebola.
Yeah, there's no Ebola. Ebola is just nothing. It's like that's off the map. It's not important.
What happened to the story? Wasn't some guy from Sweden somehow contracted Ebola? And
yeah, I have the story here. I mean, that may be a way. I mean, if it's EU, right? If it's EU-US, maybe that's their way. Oh, there's Ebola. Maybe you got to send somebody in, although Europe is not supposed to have any kind of army. A patient in Sweden has been admitted to hospital with a suspected case of Ebola. Test results will probably be received sometime this evening. This is yesterday. The patient's being treated at the infectious disease clinic. No other details. Rumor at this point. But it does say, final line, an Ebola outbreak ravaging eastern states of Democratic Republic of Congo has claimed several hundred lives. So there's one story trying to bring Ebola back into purview. And as we'll see. We'll see. But with that, I do want to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to the man who put the C in DRC, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all subs and feet on the ground, subs in the water, feet in the air, and all the dames and knights out there.
Okay, B12 this morning. In the morning to the troll room at noagendastream.com, where the trolls are always lined up and ready to help out in any way they can. And we'd like to say give a big in the morning to a new guy. Jibs02. Jibs02 brought us the artwork for episode 1102. Brand new artist to the art generator, and this was a beaut. Even though Darren O'Neill had figured out that we would be very interested in seeing Chuck and Nancy as two robot faces from the movie They Live with legendary wrestler Roddy Piper, it was Jibs02 who took it one step further and showed you that no agenda is really the glasses you need to see through what the elites are telling you to do.
Yes, that was a fine dimensional work.
This guy's a pro.
And it had the humor of the They Live, which was not something new, by the way. A lot of people were on the net were
using that, sure.
Using this because the two of them standing there are creepy.
Yeah.
But, all right, so let's thank a few people.
Well, hold on. I got to just say, noagendaartgenerator.com. That's where you can upload your art. Lots of artists do it. We really appreciate it. And you see, just when you think you're riding high, like Darren O'Neill, who's waiting for another hat trick.
He was waiting for his hat trick.
He thought, okay, I'll change it to Crackpot and Buzzkill. I'm good to go. And in swooped Jibs02.
Right. Boing. Doink.
We love the competitive nature of it, but it's also a tremendous amount of value to the show, and we thank all artists. And check out all of their work, noagendaartgenerator.com.
Doink. Actually, we do have the sound that it made.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the sound.
Sorry. Sir Mark Milliman is the lead guy here, the lead executive producer for show 1103, $400.40 from Longmont, Colorado. All he says is small boobs make me a baron. 4004.
Let me see. Is he on the list as a baron? Yeah, I think he is. Okay, we'll give him a karma for that.
You've got karma.
Sir Russ of Hellgate in Grants Pass, Oregon, also known as Hellgate. KG7 ZPF 73s.
Yes, 73s, Kilo 5, Alpha Charlie Charlie.
Keep up the great work, he says, Sir Russ. Please add to the wine the wine mailing list.
Do you have a wine mailing list?
I do have a wine mailing list.
Really?
The best way to do that is to send an email to john@dvorak.org with the subject line wine.
Wait a minute.
And then I will put you on the mailing list.
11 years and I'm not on your wine mailing list?
You never sent me a note saying wine.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
Robert Johnson, or actually Johnston, 333 in Gilbert, Arizona. Just a dude named Ben that has been listening since episode 221. This is only my second donation. Give me a douchebag. He wants a douchebag.
He wants a douchebag or a de-douching? A douchebag.
He says douchebag.
Douchebag.
You're a douchebag. I should have donated more over the past 8 years, but I'm a forgetful prick. My hope is that this donation can make up for my past transgressions. I just want to say thanks for all the analysis that you provided me over the years. I've hit many people in the mouth, but only a few took it. I'd like some karma to give some karma to my brother, Mac, and my best friend, Herb. If it wasn't for Herb, I wouldn't be listening to you guys. Right. By the way, John, he has been a monthly subscriber for 8+ years, and he hasn't sent the Fomer clip in. Oh, he sent the former clip in, and you didn't even give a producer credit. He wouldn't send a note in about it, but fuck it. I'm drunk, and I'm mentioning it.
Well, thank you, Herb.
Well, I will say this in the defense of our what appears to be laziness. Unless somebody sends something in, most of the time we say a producer sent this, and we don't necessarily say who it is because a lot of people
want to be anonymous.
Yeah. And unless they say it's okay to be mentioned, or we check in with them, we don't mention their names. But Herb, thanks. Even without my funny thing, I don't know what clip he's talking about because I think, well,
the Fomer clip. What do you mean?
Even without my donations, I hope I get some karma for the job search. I have a job offer. But, of course, having to piss in a cup and holding a medical marijuana card makes life complicated.
Yes.
In my last donation in I've never had to piss in a cup for any job. In my last donation in 2012, I got karma for some difficult times in my life, and it worked. Fully hope that the karma works again. Thank you for your courage.
Yeah, I'll just tell you that there are plenty of jobs where you got to pee in the cup.
And here's his jingle request. Hey, citizen, WTC7 and Hot Pockets.
Hey, citizen.
WTC 7 won't go away. Hot Pockets.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Sir Jonathan Denizen, $300.11. He's in parts unknown, apparently. No need to read this note. I believe I'm still a knight.
Oh, stop there. Knighthood does not expire, Sir Jonathan.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, there's no expiration.
He wants some jobs, Carmen. We'd like to call out my brother Matthew James Hodges as a douchebag. Douchebag. Okay, hit him in the mouth years ago and has yet to donate anything.
All right, jobs, karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Now to Associate Executive Producers begins with Ryan Morecom in Tallahassee, Florida. $201.99. First-time donor, long-time boner, D-douching, and jobs karma continues.
You've been D-douched.
Finally got a career started, and I have enough to share with the two of finest, wokest podcasters that there are. I'll get it. $200 for you and $1.99 for a new denture cream for Nancy Pelosi. If allowed, a shout-out to my small batch fair trade gluten-free antique store, capitalpickers.com. That's with a T-A-L, capitalpickers.com, all one word. And a shout out to the other woke folks at Tallahassee, Florida.
Huh.
And then it says, don't read the rest of it.
He has small batch fair trade gluten-free antiques. This must be just a bit of no agenda joke in capitalpickers.com. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, and we'll give you that jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Sir Colin in Cincinnati, Ohio, 200 even. So Colin, the friendly fat man from Cincinnati here, wanted to follow up on my short PayPal note. First off, I have 3 birthday wishes, one for Eamon, pronounced Amen. Amen, with a hard A. Amen. Okay, Amen. On 110, my dad Arthur Kunath, who is a regular listener, sometimes producer, and inspiration for donation notes on 115, and my Aunt Kathy on 116. Second, I want to say no agenda karma works. My doctors found a brain tumor about the size of a golf ball back in September, and I had to have a pretty big surgery to take it out in November.
Huh. Yes, I remember him writing about. I think I remember him writing about that. Yeah,
it's medical.
So he's alive. Clearly, what does he say?
I was long something like 12 hours. 12-hour operation. But I recovered really well, and I expect a few bumps in the road after getting home and losing hearing in one ear. I'm just about back to my normal self, but I can't help but attribute my speedy recovery to the amazing family and no agenda. I greedily hoarded shows while I was in a recovery, knowing I could be critical to my re-assimilation into the work world. I have finally run out, and I'm donating to say thank you for the help in getting me back to the swing of work without losing my mind. Wow. On that note, is it possible to get a jobs karma for my boss? I don't think she is looking. I just hate working for her. I'm hoping she gets poached out of the company since I don't want to leave the team I work with. Otherwise, can I get a dealer's choice Sharpton and a Putin on the Ritz?
Well, let's think about this. He's asking for positive,
It's a request. He's a sir.
Right. I understand.
And it's something worth experimenting with.
I guess it's okay because she would be happy that she got a new job.
Well, otherwise she would. So
Okay.
it makes somebody happy. You're doing someone a favor.
Yeah, so I think
you're
we're
doing
good.
two people a favor because he hates working for her, and she probably doesn't like him either.
So here's the question. Should I then give her a Nancy Jobs or a Trump Jobs or Trump Nancy Jobs?
No, the Trump Jobs is a too jinx oriented. No, give her a regular Nancy
Regular
Jobs.
Nancy Jobs? Okay.
RESPICT.
After flu
and you don't know where there's fake news, why don't you get your Gitmo fix? Putin on the Ritz, dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying not to look like Anderson Cooper. Super pooper! Come, let's mix where John Podesta walks with kids. Oh, I mean pizzas in his mitts. Putin on the Ritz.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's been a while since I heard the full Secret Agent Paul Putin on the Ritz.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic.
So I want to thank these folks. These are our associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1103.
And these credits are not just completely valid as credits you can use anywhere. They're just like Hollywood. People who finance the work get an executive producer or associate executive producer credit, but we actually honor the producers. Go ahead, take a look at any award show. Tell me how they award producers. We've seen what is wrong with the model, and we've incorporated it into our value for value model, and we appreciate so much that people are helping us. And we'll be thanking more people, $50 and above, in our second segment. Remember, another show coming up on Sunday. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
You've definitely got the inside scoop on some of the Dem 2020 candidates. Now go propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
No agenda show, like a kick to the crotch.
Any word on Ruth Bader Ginsburg yet?
No, not yet. But a lot of people feel her retirement is imminent.
Yeah. I think I'm going to give her a health karma. I just feel so shitty about it.
You've got karma.
I know that there's people out there. I just hope she's going to die, and I just can't. It's really horrible. Must be horrible when you know people are thinking these things.
I think she's probably there's probably more people liking her than not. So we had a couple of funny things happen. One is there's the Sanders clip. I got the Sanders campaign sexual harassment. Did you hear about this?
No, I'm completely oblivious. Is this a Me Too moment, or what do we do here?
Yeah, so kind of, but Sanders handles it well.
And now it's time for your sexual harassment.
If we're going to do it, we do it right. We got jingles. Okay. Any more lead-in necessary? Set up?
No, it's just a straight-up story.
Senator Bernie Sanders apologized Thursday to women who have come forward to say they were sexually harassed or discriminated against by male staffers while working on his 2016 campaign. The accusation surfaced after more than 24 staffers penned a letter to Sanders requesting a meeting to discuss sexual violence and harassment on the 2016 campaign in the run-up to the 2020 election. Several of Sanders' top aides have been implicated. This is Senator Sanders speaking Thursday.
That as part of our campaign, there were some women who were harassed or mistreated. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart for speaking out. What they experienced was absolutely unacceptable and certainly not what a progressive campaign or any campaign should be about.
In other news on Sanders' possible run for president, his 2016 campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, has said he will not return to the same position if Sanders decides to run for president again. But Weaver is expected to stay on as a senior advisor.
I guess that was the guy harassing the women. He's going to still be a senior advisor. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I did actually hear about this. This is where Bernie is saying that, well, I was trying to run for president. I didn't have time to figure out what was going on. Something like that.
Well, I think what you heard him say there is what he got forced into saying.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I want to play a couple clips. I do have the rundown on what's really going on in the country, which is the shutdown plus and CBS takes the shutdown and they associate it with Trump as a Russian agent, which is a big scandal, or at least in Trump's mind.
This was a. Now, let me understand. The New York Times broke the story. Was it the Times or the Post?
Yes. No, Times.
It was the Times. And they said that after Trump, as president, fired FBI Director Comey, senior officials at the FBI, whoever that is, were so freaked out by it that they started to immediately look into to see if he was an asset.
A Russian spy.
Well, I think the term is asset, which is not quite the same.
He wouldn't be a spy per se, but he'd be an asset, yeah.
An asset, yes.
He's been turned.
Okay.
By the way, I should mention, before we play these clips, there's 3 of them. And it's a way that I'm only playing them because they kind of, they push for some, I don't know how they do this, but CBS pulls a stunt here. They pull and in fact, I have one clip that's really bad. But so my daughter and her fiance were in the Denver airport during this shutdown.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I can't get these kids to think like they're
like producers. Like producers.
Yeah, like producers, because apparently the TSA staff in total at the airport were singing folk songs. I've been working on the railroad, and all these songs about not getting paid.
What?
And they're singing,
and they've got their iPhones and everything, and they did not record it.
Hello.
Oh my goodness!
You
read them the Riot Act.
I can't believe it. Because it's material. I said, think of the YouTube hits.
Especially since there's, was this Jay?
Jay and her fiance both.
Hey, you guys are living rent-free right now, people.
Yeah. Well, they would have paid a month's rent, but no.
You got to participate.
And it was like the slap never thought of it.
This is so sad.
It is sad.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's go.
This is shut down.
This is day 22 of the partial government shutdown, now the longest in U.S. history. 380,000 federal employees are on temporary layoffs. 420,000 are working without pay. TSA workers learned today they're receiving a one-time $500 holiday bonus to help them until their next paycheck. Furloughed government workers lined up for groceries today at a pop-up food bank in Alexandria, Virginia. President Trump and congressional Democrats remain locked in a dispute over border wall funding. The president unleashed a tweet storm today on the shutdown and an explosive report that the FBI investigated him as a possible Russian agent. Errol Barnett is at the White House.
Oh. I didn't know that they got $500 bonus to go to help cross the chasm.
That's CBS, as far as I know, is the only one that reported that.
That's very interesting. And was it 500 cash in hand, or was it, do you have to pay taxes on it?
Probably a government check.
I got to tell you, it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to get pretty nasty now.
I expect so. But listen to the way they start handling the story, though. This is part 2.
In a series of tweets this morning, President Trump defended himself against the New York Times report, which claimed the FBI investigated whether the president was a Russian asset or potential threat against American security after he fired FBI Director James Comey in May of 2017. CBS News has not independently confirmed that report.
Hold on. Wait, we're still talking about the shutdown?
They put the 2 stories together.
Wow, slick.
I was going to fire Comey. My decision.
But the New York Times says it was President Trump's own public statements connecting the Comey firing to Russia which raised concern among agents.
When I decided to just do it, I said to myself, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
The president insisted today his, quote, firing of James Comey was a great day for America.
Absolutely ludicrous.
In an interview airing tomorrow on Face the Nation, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said...
And you want to back up a little bit, and so you have the Trump quote, and then it followed by a Pompeo quote saying absolutely ludicrous.
Gotcha.
And the way they put this together, I think, is shameful. They made it sound as though Pompeo was criticizing Trump's commentary.
Of course they did. It's CBS.
But wait, let me finish. In fact, Pompeo is discussing the idea that Trump was a Russian asset. It's not a commentary on Trump's quote, but they put it together so improperly that they give you the impression, if you're just listening to it, Trump says, Comey was an idiot. And the other guy says, that's bull crap. I mean, it's unbelievable how they did this.
I have been in editing bays many times when something was edited together that may even just have come together kind of as an accident. I'm like, oh man, that's really funny. Let's just keep that in there. Leave those two together. That's great. I'm sure you've witnessed this, even if not political, just for any reason.
Of course.
Yeah.
But this is the top. Yes, this happens all the time. But in my opinion, when this is happening at one of the big three networks,
yeah,
it's shameful. They got money.
It's another reason why we can only go through 2020. There will be no more journalism. It's going to end. There's going to be nothing left. There'll be nothing to look at. Journalism will be, whoever does it.
Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
The president insisted today his, quote, firing of James Comey was a great day for America.
Absolutely ludicrous.
Wow! Wow.
In an interview airing tomorrow on Face the Nation, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he rejects the New York Times allegation.
The idea that's contained in the New York Times story that President Trump was a threat to American national security is silly on its face and not worthy of a response.
Hey, is that unprecedented where any intelligence agency has done this to a president just in office?
I don't know of it ever happening before. It may have been done, but it's been kept a secret.
But FBI is well known for spying on everybody and blackmailing with sex secrets and all this stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
That agency, man. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that was that. I wanted that clip in there for sure because of this little.
That was great.
The way they edited it to make just for the subconscious effect on the poor dummies that watch CBS News.
I'm surprised you didn't pull an ISO from it. It's so you can use it anywhere.
Yeah.
In fact, they may bring it back. Keep your eye out.
That is I will get an ISO for future use if you don't want to pull it. We can finish. This is the last clip. It's got a little kicker on it.
From the White House, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders called the Times claim absurd and said Comey is a disgraced partisan hack. The former FBI director sent this tweet today, quoting President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, quote, "Judge me by the enemies I have made." Now, all of this leads to Special Counsel Robert Mueller, whose team has not made any public comment.
Wait a minute. Comey tweeted that? Judge me by the enemies I have made?
Yeah.
Let me hear that again.
Now, all of this leads to Special Counsel Robert Mueller, whose team has not made any public comment.
I guess I missed it. Was it back here?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, quote, "Judge me by the enemies I have made."
Interesting.
Now, all of this leads to Special Counsel Robert Mueller, whose team has not made any public comment on the extent of its investigation. But Mueller's team has secured the indictment of 3 associates of President Trump, and the grand jury used to secure those indictments just received a 6-month extension to keep working.
I'm telling you, this guy's never going to finish this investigation. 6 more months minimum.
I think you may be able to explain it better than I can, but a grand jury, it's my belief that people in America, but certainly in other countries here, grand jury think, oh, that guy's so fucked. And they really don't understand what a grand jury is, what its power is, but really what it means and what comes out of it and what the process is. And honestly, I'm a little fuzzy myself.
A grand jury is a special group that's put together called a grand jury that can look at the idea of a grand jury is that district attorneys in particular have situations that they don't really know if they should indict somebody for.
Now, indict, explaining, you got to explain these things.
Indict means you're going to be arrested and charged with a crime.
Got it.
And so the grand jury has greater powers than it's almost like a mock trial. They can bring people in and witnesses to discuss certain things, and you have to answer to the grand jury because it's a closed session. It's private. Seems semi illegal, but it does serve a purpose. And the idea is that it can bring forward information that the grand jury can say, we think there's somebody, this guy could be, I think you can indict this guy for this crime.
Okay.
And then you hand your verdict. The grand jury hands a kind of a verdict or a finding. The grand jury hands a finding over to the DA saying, yes, you can indict this guy, and this guy. We think that you have a case.
Now, do you always
or you don't have a case, or we could find nothing. Which is what's been going on, by the way.
Is now the grand jury is something that only a district attorney can call into existence, or
as far as I know, district attorneys. I could be wrong.
So that it's pretty powerful.
That, but as far as I know, it's a district attorney that does these grand juries.
So okay,
on the federal level, I don't know how it works.
But they really, their job is to determine if there's a there. And
yes,
I've always heard
that's all they have to do, but they're picked from the public, and they're one of the Libjo's friends of mine was a grand jury member for a long time.
Says
and
enough.
He got into it. He was like, it was great. You get to hear all this. It's all secret information and stuff that might not even be.
Stop. How can a Libjo, also known as a journalist, don't you immediately get kicked off? If I went. I've been asked for jury duty. I said, yeah.
Jury duty is not the same. It's not the same.
Thank you. This is what I'm asking. This is what I want to understand.
It's a different animal.
So how does he have buddies? How does he get on this grand jury?
I don't know how he got on.
Would you mind asking him next time you talk to him?
I think I know, but it was mundane.
But once you're on it, then you're on no matter what the case is. It's like a club, like the Grand Ole Opry.
It tends to be about a specific situation. So it's like you investigate one thing, and then the grand jury gets dissolved.
And does the grand jury get paid for their time?
Yeah, but I think it's the same as jury pays. Mostly, there's a lot of things that especially in California, grand juries have these grand juries. They're a special kind of person. And in some cases, you even have a badge. They give you a badge.
Oh, and a decoder ring.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you get pulled over by the cops,
you can say,
your badge.
Excuse me, I'm a grand jury member.
Yeah.
We need this. I need one of those badges. Is it like a shield? Is it like an actual shield? Or
it's a star badge. The ones I've seen are star badges.
Star, like a sheriff's deputy.
Yeah.
Is this in the Constitution, this grand jury idea?
Well, now you're asking me questions I can't answer, but I'm not sure the history of the grand jury, but we could look it up and have some knowledge about it. It wouldn't take much effort.
Well, I appreciate you giving a little insight because I don't think anyone really, I even learned a few things. The fact that you're on a grand jury and just keep getting called back for other grand jury stuff, and you're a journalist / Libjo. And that says a lot. I've always heard a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. That's the line I've heard, and so I've kind of held to that.
Well, I think that's probably true if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them do their jobs, and they don't do that. I mean, otherwise, Trump would have been indicted by now.
It's really, I mean, I just, okay, so he's keeping the grand jury for another 6 months. Are these people sequestered? Do they not get to?
No, they just called in. It's like a job. You have to go in every so often.
Nice. Maybe that's my exit.
The grand jury, they dissolve these grand juries. You cannot be on one forever.
By the way, my great exit idea of butt wipes that are a glove, so you can just turn them inside out and throw them out and not contribute to fatbergs.
Yeah.
Already invented.
Oh.
Yeah, you can get them on Amazon.
Great minds.
Yeah. I don't know how great this guy is doing.
5 cents.
It's a butt glove. It's kind of an interesting idea.
Get your butt gloves right here. Butt gloves.
I can't believe someone came up with my idea.
I got butt gloves here.
Butt gloves. Yes. The butt gloves.
So anyway, that's that.
Yeah. So it's just going to be never ending. It's going to keep on going.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I was him. It's just like it's a job. It pays well, and you get a lot of power, and you got people working for you, taking people getting your dry cleaning, bringing the car around, all that sort of thing. It's fantastic.
Hey, bring the car around. Thank you very much.
So this guy, Steve King, who we talked about on the show before, he's one of the congressmen that is
Is he
under
Republican?
attack.
Republican, is he not?
Yeah, of course. He's a Republican under attack for being a racist pig. And he's pretty adamant about fighting the charges and everybody. They give him nothing but grief about it. Because he supposedly defends white supremacy when he doesn't.
Now, why is there some issue that he's involved in that is under attack?
This is a new version of it. I want to play. I got two clips of the same thing, but I get a little different dimension from. Let's start with Democracy Now!, the Steve King DN backgrounder.
A key Republican lawmaker and close ally of President Trump defended white supremacy while assailing the diversity of the incoming lawmakers in an interview published Thursday. Iowa Congressmember Steve King told the New York Times, quote, "White nationalists, white supremacists, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? Why did I sit in classes teaching me about the merits of our history and our civilization?" Unquote. Congressmember King went on to criticize the freshman class of Democratic lawmakers with its record number of women and people of color, saying, quote, "You could look over there and think the Democratic Party is no country for white men," King said.
All right. This is a really bad. This is again.
Who's driving
shameful.
this? Who's driving
He
it?
never ever defended white supremacy, and they don't have a quote of him defending white supremacy. He was just saying that these terms, you can't even mention them anymore, or people get all over your case. You can't even say the words white nationalist. He says he's not a white nationalist, but he says if you even use the word, then all of a sudden you are. And that's all he's bitching about. And he's kind of, if you listen to the CBS report, which is Steve King again, I think they at least make it a little more palatable, a little more realistic. But they're after this guy for some reason.
Speaker, I regret the heartburn that has poured forth upon this Congress and this country, and especially in my state.
That's as close as Iowa Congressman Steve King came to apologizing today for comments being called abhorrent, racist, and reckless by members of his own party. In a New York Times interview published Thursday, the Republican lawmaker asked, "White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization, how did that language become offensive?" Facing a growing backlash, today King took to the House floor to explain himself.
Under any fair political definition, I am simply an American nationalist. This conviction does not make me a white nationalist or a white supremacist.
Tonight, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, calling out King.
When I have to hit the pause button to have a conversation about race and racism and polarizing comments by other folks in my party, it makes it far more difficult for us to sell the conservative brand.
And writing in the Washington Post, some in our party wonder why Republicans are constantly accused of racism. It is because of our silence when things like this are said. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi condemning King's comments too.
Is he fit to serve Iowa?
He has said terrible things. Terrible things have been said by other people in this administration.
I've been in a bigger fight than this one.
King already has two primary challengers, one of whom told the Des Moines Register yesterday, "I won't embarrass the state." Garrett Haake, NBC News, the Capitol.
Oh, so this is just a pre-challenge. We're just we're just challenging everybody. Just getting pre-challenge underway.
Yeah.
Jeez. You know, these people, they better do some work, too, while they're at it.
They're not going to do any work.
Do some work for us. As I was searching, I searched the Googles, which I always do during show days.
Yeah.
Steve King under attack. Every link now on my Google results page has a news guard icon next to it.
Oh, because you put that app on your thing.
To show me if I should even click on the link.
So in other words, the list of Google links
have
to the right. There's a little. Well, that actually happens with the vast.
Actually, to the left. It's on the left.
To the left.
Yeah, right.
Well, to the right. Real. Oh, that's not. That's unsightly.
Yeah. So it moves the link over one spot because the guard is there. How about that?
I have to get this thing.
You need this. You need this thing.
Anything red is what I'd click on.
Well, that's what I was looking for. It took me 3 pages. Let me see.
Something good.
3 pages. No, 4 pages.
Yeah, this will have a counter. This is counterintuitive. It's going to get. If I was running that little plug-in, I would definitely be looking for the red one so I could click on them and see what the hell's going on there.
I'm sure they're also reporting back. I'm sure Publicis is building up nice little record of who I am. But you're right.
Well, just get a VPN and then they can screw themselves.
It's kind of nice because exactly as you say, when you do a Google search, you really want to get the red one. So here's my first red one, page 10, the Palmer Report. The That has a red be careful notice on it.
Oh, what does Palmer have to say?
Yesterday, we brought you the story of how Republican Congressman Sting of Iowa's long history of racism and gun fanaticism posted a racial attack against. It's actually seems like it's kind of anti-King.
It's attacking him.
Yes.
Oh, well, he got that one right.
No, he should get a red check mark, a green one. He's one of the good guys.
Yeah.
I mean, but every single other one is all green. Yeah. That's just
they need a yellow and an orange. They need 4 colors.
Crooked Media has a new icon. It is gray and it has a dash. Oh, this website is still in the process of being rated by NewsGuard. Interesting. Well, since we're talking about forbidden words, because that's really what it is, it's time to educate ourselves. Just keep ourselves up to date, up to speed, au courant with the kids. The University of California, Davis has an LGBTQIA resource center, which is not correct in my opinion. I believe it is LGBTQIAAPK. But they say lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual. And they have a listing here of words that hurt and why.
Well, that hurts. As far as I'm concerned, that moniker they're using, their acronym is in itself
hurtful.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear? It's only it's about 15 words.
Oh, what do you think?
Yes, words that hurt and why. Sometimes we say words without realizing the impact they may have on others. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Take time to educate yourself about language and histories of oppression.
It says yourself?
No, that would be my
okay.
emphasis added by me. We'll start off with bitch. Bitch is it
commonly
hurts.
Used in hip-hop music.
Targets and dehumanizes women even if used towards men, including queer and gay men. Wow, I know a lot of gay men who call each other bitch. But okay, it reinforces sexism. So this is a word that hurts and should be removed.
Abolished.
Ghetto. Describe something or someone as cheap, worn out, poor, dangerous, etc. Reference to
the guy's ghetto.
You're someone's ghetto. Yeah.
She's ghetto.
Yes. This is a hurtful word.
Yeah.
Illegal alien. Hurtful. Reduces.
How is that? It's just a statement of fact.
Well, maybe
what are you supposed to use instead?
Let me see. Reduces undocumented immigrants to something less than human. Fixates on legal status instead of people as individuals. Asserts that like a perpetrator, asserts that some people belong here more than others do. Ignores political.
Yes, the citizens.
This is your California of Davis system UC thing. Asserts that some people belong here more than others do. Ignores political, social, and economic factors that impact people of color. Wow. Are all illegal aliens people of color? I don't think so. In fact, no, I know they're not. All right. Here's one that I've done. Yep. No homo.
When have you haven't done no homo?
No, in a long time, but
in years.
You know, it's like guys say, I love you, man. I love you, bro. No homo.
Yeah, it's a cornball thing that bros like to say.
Stresses the speaker's heterosexuality, masculinity, and or other traits to avoid being perceived as LGBTQIA. Yeah. Goes to great lengths to avoid association with anything queer.
I've always thought of it as just some dumb thing that people say because it's kind of funny.
It was for a while until it didn't.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Actually, you got away with it. What did you call AOC? What do you call her?
An idiot.
An idiot? And then you call her stupid? Any other words you've used? Any other words?
Stupid and idiot. And I haven't used moron, but I could.
Well, here are words that hurt. Retarded, lame, crazy, and dumb.
I didn't use any of those words.
I know, you skated right through it.
Yeah. So it's okay to call someone an idiot.
Yes.
Or even a moron, but you can't call them dumb.
No, stupid, you can call them stupid.
Stupid. Yeah. You're stupid.
Another phrase, that's so gay.
Yeah, it's another late 80s phrase that's gone out of vogue.
Yeah. Whore, hoe, or slut.
Whore?
Whore, hoe, or
what
slut.
About her? They do the pronunciation with the sopranos.
Whore.
Whore. Whore.
I think whore may be okay.
Yeah, whore. She's a whore.
A whore. Bisexuality doesn't really exist. People are only gay or straight. Well, it's not something.
Is that a statement of fact in that document?
It's a hurtful phrase.
Who says that?
Well, apparently enough people to put it on the list. This denies the fluidity of sexuality.
Ooh, fluidity.
I got lots of
always fluids.
I got lots of fluidity tonight. And dismisses people's experiences and definitions of self. People deserve the right to define their own idea. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Well, on the other side, John, on the other side of that, we have, I think everyone is really bisexual. Yeah, this is, yeah.
That's the classic thing a bisexual will say.
This is often meant to acknowledge the fluidity of sexuality, but...
No, what? They said that's a good thing? This is a way of checking people to see if they're, just a come on.
Is that what it is?
When you're looking for somebody to say, yeah, I think you're right.
Well, next on the list.
I never thought about it much, but I think you might be right.
You're too femme to be bisexual.
Who says that?
I don't know. It must be a thing.
Must be some other come on.
Bisexual people just want straight privilege. I've never heard this. Oh, wait.
What?
Yeah, this is a hurtful thing, and people say it apparently. But check it out. Here's the next one. This has got to be my favorite. Bisexual people are just greedy and want to have sex with everyone. See, this is the University of California, Davis publishing this.
Yeah, well, that's the farmers up there.
Okay, now we get into some other things. Who do you see yourself ending up with? This is
in the same stupid book?
Yeah, it's not a book.
I want somebody from Davis to send me a copy of this book.
It's not a book. It's not a book.
It's just online bullcrap.
Resource Center. This is another way of implying one has to, quote, end up gay or straight and ignores bisexuality as an identity. There's an issue.
Somebody who is bisexual
wrote this. There's a big problem. Okay, so then we
have people like this writing this
stuff.
It's just an agenda.
Then we have tranny. I would never say that. Interesting, though, our official transsexuals of the show call themselves trannies, but whatever.
And they don't mind us saying it. No. You just don't like doing it.
This is my favorite. What is your real name? I mean the one you were given at birth. Yeah, this is, of course, dead naming.
Any douchebag would say that's no big deal.
You're not allowed to say he, she.
Why?
As in hyphenated, if you don't know, because you should find out before you use it, of course.
Yeah, it's not good. It says impractical.
Yeah. There's a lot of horrible things that I won't even say. This is my favorite. Thought. That's a big one these days.
What?
THOT. Thought.
What does that mean?
Thought. It's an acronym. That whore over there.
Thought?
Yeah. This has only come up recently.
Point when you're saying that word?
Well, you say, look at her, the thought. That whore over there.
I've never heard this.
This is a big thing right now. It's a
Where?
Online.
Austin?
No, online. Let me tell you what's going on. There are entire groups of people who are reporting sex workers, webcam girls, other things like that, and it's called a thought.
Leave the girls alone.
They report them to the IRS.
Why? They don't make enough money that the IRS should care.
It's called the thought audit.
Some of them do, but
I'm just telling you. You also can't use the word ugly anymore.
Even if somebody's ugly? How about butt ugly? Is that better?
It doesn't say. And this one, this is AOC needs to cut this out. You guys. She says that a lot. You guys. All right, you guys. And this is a no-no because it erases the identities of people who are in the room. Generalizing a group of people to be masculine. Wrong.
I say it all the time to women.
Yeah, well, it's wrong. And finally, I'm such a fat ass right now. So you can't say that about yourself. Because
why? What if you're a big fat ass? The guy from Cincinnati. He says he's a fat guy from Cincinnati. Sir Colin, the friendly fat man from Cincinnati.
You can't say, give him his money back.
Well, we're not going to go that far.
It demeans and devalues fatness and fat bodies. Reinforces harmful assumptions that fat people are gluttonous and are fat because they have no restraint around food.
He's the fat guy from Cincinnati, the friendly fat guy. Does it reinforce the fact that fat men are friendly or jolly?
It implies there is such an acceptable amount of food to eat, and anything more is disgusting. Or that enjoy
doesn't imply any of such thing.
Well, this is what's being taught in college. This is what's going on in colleges.
I'm sure that's not the worst case scenario.
No. Well, you're up to date.
Thank you.
Yeah,
very good. This is one of those rare no agenda reports we often do that really keep people on
the positive tip.
On the cutting edge. Cutting edge of culture.
All right. Well, while you're on the cutting edge of culture, let me tell you as we're all aghast about the Chinese social score and everyone's flipping out about it. Even Hillary Clinton referred to a dystopian future. Meanwhile, it's just building here in the most beautiful way. We have a control system like that. It's called your FICO score.
Oh, yeah.
And it won't be long until you can wear a little badge that has your score on it. I hear this combo all the time, people talking about, what's your FICO score? Now, it happens to be that the keeper has some outrageous score of like 886, which, she's very reluctant to actually marry me because she knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, because she's going to get
tanked.
Her FICO is going to get
tanked,
slammed, butt slammed.
It's going to get tanked all the way down to 500 or something. Come a little closer to my end,
Whoa,
baby.
you got butt slam.
But
well, you got to think of it as the credit.
Sorry. There may be help on the horizon for me, people like me who have, I have not looked recently, but I'm sure it's really bad. I've never cared. My FICO score, it looks like they're going to help out. You can get a boost. You can get a boost as much, maybe 100-point boost. So naturally, we're all interested because for those who don't know it, this credit worthiness report, this FICO, this number, lets people know if you can rent an apartment, even if you have the money. That just kind of, you have kind of a low FICO score. You may have the money, but I don't know. There's rumor that some people look at it in hiring and jobs. It's become this important number.
There's documentation for this.
So it's very important, slave.
Well, you got to think of it as the credit catch-22. In order to borrow money, you need a good credit score. But to get a high number, you have to show a solid credit history. With that in mind, Experian, one of the three major credit reporting companies, is piloting a program called Experian Boost. The premise is simple. If you're willing to share more of your personal information, you may see an immediate increase to your credit score. Consumers who opt into the program allow Experian to access their bank account and track utility or phone payments. That data is added to their credit file, and then they get an updated score. Experian says scores rose for 2 out of 3 consumers participating in its pilot phase, and 10% of those with a so-called thin file had enough credit history to be given a score for the first time. Now, there's another program expected to be rolled out this summer called Ultra FICO. It's a partnership between Experian, the fintech firm Finicity, and FICO, the credit scoring company. Consumers, again, must opt in to allow access to their savings and checking accounts. Their balances will then be monitored to see how they manage cash flow and pay their bills, and all of this data will be used to calculate a new and possibly higher Ultra FICO score. Now, that's good news for many consumers and for lenders, too, who will be able to draw from a larger pool now of potential borrowers.
It's great news. Just let them access your bank account so they can see how you're doing. And they'll give you little graphs and little charts like, oh, do a little better, pay on time, you can do it, come on, you're this little engine that could. Woo-woo.
Wow.
This is your dystopian future. This is where it all comes together.
Right.
This is where
it's disgusting.
Yeah, and CNBC is jitty about it.
Oh, no, they're all, that's
they're all jitty with it. Yeah.
They think that's great.
I can't wait.
Do they have one critical thinker at CNBC ever that can maybe say, hey, maybe this isn't such a great idea?
Yes, they do.
Oh, good.
Jim Cramer.
Oh, please.
Listen, there is another product idea in here somewhere. I mean, you've seen the Black Mirror episode where you can look at someone, I mean, it's augmented reality, where you can see someone's score above their head. I think that there's there's a way for us to create some kind of app or something.
Yes, I agree.
That takes your Ultra FICO score, your Experian Boost Ultra FICO score, and it moves you from your thin file, and then you can add stuff to it. Just taking how many likes you have on Twitter and just, average it out and give someone a score higher or lower. And we just need to claim it. Okay, FICO, it's just a commercial company who started this business. And now they're like the government standard of worthiness as a citizen.
Yeah.
We can go on top of that. We just need to brand it right. We can have a better score that incorporates the FICO score.
There was something that I think
like if you show
which
side
went out of
boob,
business, by the way.
If you show side boob, you get extra points on your Instagram.
Yeah, well, see, this is where we go off the rails.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop.
Clout was trying to do something like
Clout,
this.
You're right. Clout. It was a reputational score.
Yeah, a reputational score, but they couldn't really get the. For some reason, one of the reasons was people like myself wouldn't join.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying I had anything to do with that, but lots of people wouldn't join because it's like, who cares what what my clout score is? I mean, how hard up are you for self-esteem?
Yeah,
you have to get a high clout score.
It was clout,
but if it could be institutionalized, which is what you're suggesting, as opposed to being just some gimmick like, I checked in at the McDonald's kind of thing, which is just junk.
Well, it was Clout with a K, which apparently was purchased by Lithium Technologies, and they shut it down. So I haven't looked into Lithium, what they're doing. There was possibility that GDPR may have played into Clout's downfall. This was pretty recent. When did this happen? This year. Oh, they just folded. Interesting.
Yeah, just folded.
Well, they appear to have only done like, here's what your mentions on Twitter, Facebook, and Google. But I think it should be, how many pictures of friends are you also in the picture? That
would be. I would agree with that.
Plus, so you get a plus for that.
It's got to be a little more. I think the way to make it work, because nobody really cares about what I'm just about to say. It should be a little more spooky.
Spooky.
Yeah, like spy-ish. It's like CIA stuff.
Right.
What you just said is how many times are you in the picture somebody else took?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's spooky.
That's great.
You need to be more spooky. You need to have more ideas that are spookish.
Right.
Stuff that way you can build the company up, and you got some of these algorithms. You come with some algos that do this searching. It goes through the Flickr pictures and all the rest. And then that one of these operations buys you.
We need a name.
Exit.
Yeah, we need a name for it though. If we have the right acronym or the right name, I think we could build it.
Creep score.
The what?
Creep score.
Creep score.
Just think. No.
Keep working on it, John.
I'll come up with something.
If we did it with a K and we could come up with a great
creep
acronym.
Score, yeah.
Creep score. Yeah, that might be okay. But it's too confusing. We want it to be something aspirational that people really go for.
You're right. Creep score is negative.
It has to be aspirational.
I'll think of something good.
Okay, we'll work on it.
We'll do it.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1103. None of them creeps, by the way. With Robert.
How about value score? Something like that.
I think there's already a value score out there.
Okay.
No. Robert Blank Shane, I believe, $100. He wants to know how he reaches us. I email. I never seem to get a reply.
Really?
Well, there you have it.
Let me see if I got a note from Robert Blank Shane. I don't think so.
I've never heard of a note from him. Maybe it could be my fault. He'd like to speak of my college, St. John's College, at great length. Okay. Well, he says most definitely. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. We want to hear from you.
Last time I heard from him, he was going to Rwanda and Tanzania.
Oh, he's an economic hitman we need to hear. Because I lost my guy. He stopped. Well, I think he still listens, but he's turned into a just large amygdala Trump hater to such an extreme that I don't think he can write the show anymore. And he doesn't give us tips on anything going on.
Huh. Oh, I mean, not Blankstein, but your guy.
Yeah, my guy, not this guy. This is a different guy. This guy might replace him.
Okay. Blank.
We'll be looking for your email.
Blank Shane on deck.
It's adam@curry.com. It's not that hard.
Yes. Blank Shane on deck, waiting for you.
Yeah. We want to know more. Sir Joel, battle-born Black Baron of Northern Nevada in Reno, 8008. John Knowles, Baron of Murfreesboro, which is where all the techies are surrounding that area in Tennessee, 8008. Sir Michael Moss, 8008. He says, I had to donate. Some joker put an old-timey calculator boob into some company's app. Sir Timothy Bashirs, Cookville, Tennessee. I think that's the Murphy Burles area. We got to do a meetup there.
Yep.
6660. Sir Ray Jacobson, $57. Not Jake, 5678. And we have a birthday call for Ray.
Yep.
Christopher Dechter, parts unknown, 5678. Jonathan Evans, 5555. Patrick Simokowitz in Arlington, Virginia. Good area for people.
Soon to be rebranded as National Landing by Amazon. Is that a joke that I'm not getting?
It has to do with the Amazon opening up shop there.
Got it.
Viscount Jeff Gerlach in Lincoln, California. And the following people are, and he has a title change. I hope it's on there.
I believe so. Was that what his note was about?
Yeah.
Yes, he becomes Viscount of.
Well, I think he's Viscount. He was
changing
of.
Yes, I have it here. We're good to go.
Edward Dan. The following people are $50 donors. Name and location if appropriate, or if I have it. Edward Daniel, don't have it. Richard Gardner, don't have it. Jonathan Ferris in Liberal, Kansas. I wonder how they vote there. Brett Yo in Cantonsville, Maryland. Robert Bruckner, Phil Watterson, Kimberly Redmond in Toronto, Ontario. Mario Bajarano, I think. So thanks for getting me through the graveyard shifts in Brownsville, Texas. Robert Kerbeck in Essexville, Michigan. Pate Schnakes.
Sir Pate.
He's more than a sir. I think he's up there in an Earl or something.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Weber in San Jose, California. Mark Johnson in Aurora, Colorado. Elliot Gardner in New York, Pennsylvania. He's got a whole bunch of birthdays. I'm calling out to here and there.
Let me just see. Sir Andrew Gardner's daughter, Mickey. Happy first birthday on January 12th. Sir Andrew donated for his first human resource, who was unnamed at the time. Her name is Coon Beckett Gardner. Coon? K-O-A-C-O? No, that can't be right.
Cone?
Yeah,
it'd be Cone.
Oh, it's his name. Okay. Yes. All right. Cone Beckett Gardner, born December 27th. Welcome, human resource. Welcome, citizen.
Jason Clegg in San Diego. Dame Patricia Worthington, who owns half of Florida.
Apparently.
Always donates, and we appreciate it a lot. And Brandon Savoy in Port Orchard, Washington. I think he's a sir.
Quite
and
likely.
That is pretty much our group of well-wishers and producers for show 1103. I want to thank each and every one of them and those who donate lesser amounts for supporting this particular episode.
Yes, and thank you so much. Because of our model, the way we work this show, that it is completely supported by the people who enjoy the program, but you're really producing it. That's why you're all known as producers. We don't have to deal with such things as, giving our audience members a flu shot, like happened on the Golden Globe Awards. This is like that's what Rite Aid had to do. By the way, irony of Rite Aid sponsoring flu shots for celebrities on the Golden Globes. The New York Stock Exchange is warning Rite Aid they will be delisted if their shares fall below $1, and they're close. So maybe they need
time for the reverse split.
Yeah, right. Maybe they need a little strategy on how they want to advertise.
They'll do a reverse split. That's your bet. That's your easy way out.
Meetup news. So we still have the 22nd of February on deck in Des Moines, Iowa. I got to talk to Mimi because I don't hear any noise coming out of what's going on. I thought that was in organization mode. Do you know anything about it other than from me?
I don't know anything. I'll ask Mimi. She'll tell me.
I sent her 2 producers who wanted to organize.
Okay, well, she's been busy.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's why I'm checking. Texas meetup. We have a date and a venue.
Oh, bull.
March 2nd, Saturday, March 2nd. I wish it could have been March 3rd, 3/3, but that's a Sunday. And here's how...
Fridays are better, but Saturday's okay.
Well, we could do Friday. I mean,
the reason I'm going to tell you...
Why is it better? It's not better.
Research that we've been doing.
Okay.
The reason Friday's better is because you have a bunch of people. It depends on where you put this. If it's going to be a long trip that everyone's going to have to take, then it doesn't make any difference. But if it's in a town where people work and they commute to their job, they would like to be – they're already in town on Friday and they quit work around 5, although nowadays it's 4. But they quit work and then they can come right to the event. Otherwise, if it's a Saturday, they go home – and then they're some distance from the event because they're not in town anymore. They're in the suburbs or they're someplace else. And they have to make another trip into town, which is a lot of extra work and you'll lose people.
Well, it's going to be Saturday. Just listening to you, you have no idea what Austin traffic is like. Yeah, you leave your job at 5 and you're going to be at a meetup not until 7:30. So no, it's not going to happen on a Friday. It will be Saturday, and I'll tell you about the venue based upon a note I received 2 days ago. Adam, I was turned on to your podcast by the Grimericans and absolutely love it. Growing up in Austin, the true Austinite, I love listening to Art Bell, the George Gordon School of Law, Alex Jones when he was still on public access, and Pirate Microband FM radio right here in town. You two guys really nail a sane fact-based version of the truths that are out there in front of all of our faces. Austin meetup could be planned at Austin Beer Works, where I work. He doesn't just work there. He is the brewery ambassador. So if he says, if you're inclined to do it there and not only planning one, let's do it. So I had a back and forth with him. So they're very happy to host us. The Austin Beer Works has a 250-person capacity. He says he'd just like a heads up, more or less how many people are coming so they can staff appropriately. And they will also bring in a food truck for us. And if the weather holds up, the patio is very nice and shaded, allows for more room to mill around. And this is Ross Reynolds, the brewery ambassador at Austin Beer Works, and looks like we're going to do this March 2nd.
Okay.
And this is the Texas meetup. Other states more than welcome to join.
You might get somebody coming in from Louisiana, maybe, or
I think we got Arkansas. I think we have
Arkansas,
Oklahoma. Probably some people crossing the Rio Grande.
Yeah, there could be some Mexicans. You get some Mexican listeners.
Well, I'm very excited about it, and it's the perfect timing because we're back from from Des Moines. It's also before South by Southwest. It's a good time to do this, and we will be sending out emails soon to Texas and states in the surrounding area so that everyone is reminded of this, and it'll also go on meetup.com. And this is going to be good. It's the big Texas meet. We need some jingles.
Yeah, this is the
long-awaited, always underrated Texas meetup, March 2nd, Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Austin Beer Works.
People, if you're going to get one, you get 50.
I think we can have 100 people at this thing.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone thinks.
Thanks for being so positive, John. Right there. Thanks, buddy. Fantastic. And again, thank everybody who supported the program today. Also, those coming in under $50 for their own reasons, namely anonymity, but also a lot of people on subscriptions. Please take a look at this. You can also donate any amount you want. Whatever you think this show is worth as you finish listening to it, you send us that amount. And that's how the value for value system works. And remember, another show coming up on Sunday. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday.
And today is the 13th of January, 2019. We have a couple of belated birthdays. You heard him earlier. Sir Collins says happy birthday to Eamon. celebrated on the 10th of January. Elliot Gardner says happy birthday to Sir Andrew Gardner's daughter, Mickey. She turned 1 yesterday. And then we have Sir Ray Jacobson turning 57 today. Sir Colin's father, Arthur, will be celebrating on the 15th. And his aunt, Kathy, will be celebrating her birthday on January 16th. We say happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them days, for the titles are a-changing.
The titles are a-changing. That's right, everybody. We've got Viscount Jeff Gerlach. He becomes Sir Jeff Gerlach, Viscount of Utopia, and Sir Mark Milliman moves up to barony, and we appreciate your support as well. Thank you so much. We'll put all that in the show notes at nashownotes.com. Holy crap. It was so short, this donation segment.
Why?
Well, normally we're 20 minutes later in the program than we are right now.
Oh, yeah. This is a good time to be not, yeah, it's fine. What else we got to talk about, though?
Oh, I have lots to talk about.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
Okay, how about Act 9?
Okay,
Act
now you
9.
got me buffaloed again.
Gilet jaune, le gilet jaune, the yellow vest.
Oh, the yellows.
That's right. It is now Act 9. So 9 weekends in a row.
As many as 80,000 police officers will be deployed across France this weekend as the authorities prepare for the 9th week of the Yellow Vest protests.
By the way, I keep saying the next show is Sunday, but it's Thursday. Today's Sunday. I'm so confused.
5,000 police are expected in Paris alone for the Gilets jaunes movement, which was first created to oppose a planned fuel tax rise, but grew into a
Notice how Euronews just kind of skips over the carbon tax. Oh, it's just a fuel tax.
Which was first created to oppose a planned fuel tax rise, but grew into a protest about inequality and spending power. The demonstrators carried a range of placards, including one that called on President Emmanuel Macron to either give in or step down. Our demands are quite simple, and the answers are either violent or strict, this demonstrator says. When there is real recognition that we're here in the streets, and Macron acknowledges this in the media, then maybe we'll make some progress. France has struggled to contain the movement in part because it has no apparent leader, nor is it affiliated to a political party or a trade union, making negotiations rather difficult. The past weeks have seen violence on the streets, but some Gilets jaunes have put the blame for that on far-left and far-right groups.
Fantastic how now they say that the protesters themselves are saying the violence is coming from far left and far right, which in fact was what President Macron said. He's the one that started that.
Huh.
Yeah, they're these guys, man.
This whole French thing. I mean, he's French.
Well, they think that they're going to negotiate. No, this will not end. The French.
It's going to bring the government down.
It ends when your head is lopped off.
Yeah, that's where they're always. That's where the end. Yeah, that's their target always.
That's their end game.
Macron has to quit.
Ooh, well, I don't see that happening.
Well, I don't either, but he has to, or this is going to continue.
Article 13 of the EU copyright reform law. You know, a new year, new round, new chances. Looks like we're going for a January 21st finalization. You'll remember this, John. This was being discussed primarily Article 13 as it would basically prohibit any copyrighted work from being used anywhere without direct attribution payment and all kinds of stuff. And you know, it seems like
another attack on fair use.
A nightmare. It's an attack on fair use. Well, negotiators currently have reached an agreement on the core of Article 13. They still want to make internet platforms directly liable for copyright infringements. This is going to be a tough one for the Sosh Nets and the Googles. Here's the timeline. This week, 18th, the national governments will vote on the council's position ahead of the final negotiation. This is how, if I can just use the word, this is how fucked up the EU is. So we're talking about something that is completely unenforceable, will ruin commerce in the EU, I guess. Hopefully will ruin social media. So I don't want to say it's a bad thing. But here's how it works. National governments vote on the council's position ahead of the final negotiation. This is the moment of truth for EU member state governments. Will Italy keep its promise to vote against it? Will Germany say, yeah, we're against it, or we'll go for it as long as small businesses are excluded? Poland up in the air. So that's the 18th. That's just before the final.
Hold on. Who's behind this that anybody wants it in the first place? What is wrong with the current copyright that we have? The very liberal copyright laws that we have, where you maintain a copyright for 150 years after your death.
I don't know.
So who wants this? Disney?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
January 21st. Then we will see the trilogue negotiations between Parliament and Council, which is an attempt to finalize the text. Then March, April timeframe, final vote in the Council. That's Starfleet Command, unelected people. March 25th, 28th, but more likely mid-April, they'll have the final vote in the European Parliament. So here's the current status. Article 13. Applies to internet platforms that organize and promote large amounts of copyright-protected works uploaded by their users in order to make a profit. So that is, let's see, what are they saying here? Copy protection does not mean copyright infringing. This is what they're arguing about. So I think it's coming down to semantics and words. Copyright protected, not the same as copyright infringing. All creative text, photos, of course, everything is automatically copyrighted, more or less.
Yes.
So there's going to be this distinction of copy protected versus copyright protected versus copyright infringing. Let's see. It's still about who will be liable for it, and if the social media networks can demonstrate that they are doing everything they can to deploy the strictest possible upload filters. This is never going to work.
No, that's not going to work. But what is the real target here? Are they worried about people, reproducing a photo, an AP photo on their Facebook feed?
No.
Or are they worried about downloading a latest new movie?
I actually think it's more about we're seeing politicians now in the U.S. who have figured it out, that the old system of politicians and news corporations working together to determine policy, to set the mood, to set the tone, the narrative. In Europe, they still haven't really, and not in the States either, but they really haven't figured it out that way of doing things is over. They're still operating on the premise of, well, if we can control the news and make sure there's no fake news and people aren't using, stuff to create fake news out of other news, then we can control the news, help our news friends, so that only the good news gets out. To me, it feels something like that.
Nah.
You're thinking it's more Disney-like?
Generally speaking, if anything gets this far, it has to have Disney-like characteristics, meaning otherwise it wouldn't get this far. I mean, just a bunch of lame brains from the news media, they can't come up with a scheme like you just described.
Well, they already have this, the copyrighted works and YouTube, and, they have things in place. So I don't think they're relitigating that.
There's something else going on here. We have to look into this. Somebody out there knows. We have lawyers.
What it's really, really about. Yeah.
Somebody knows
what's
what
driving
the hell's
it.
going on with this stupidity.
Well, it's protection of something, because everything they do is either to protect some brand of cheese, some soap.
Yeah. Disney soap.
Yeah. If you look at the agreements, what was it, the big TPP agreement? Whatever is public about it.
That was to protect the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, exactly. To protect what kind of drugs we got. It's not about you, stupid slave.
Yeah, it's to protect the prices of drugs. It's all a scam.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's something scamish about this, but we don't specifically know what it is. Once we find out, it'll open up a huge door of information, and we'll see what the hell's going on. We'll be the only ones, by the way.
Austin announces yet another new dockless mobility solution.
Oh, God, now what?
Yeah. Let's see what the name of this outfit is. Ojo. O-J-O. Ojo Electric announced Austin will be the launch of its first sit-down scooter service. Woohoo!
Oh, that's got to really look stupid.
Oh, you know what I would say? If it wasn't...
How do you spell it?
O-J-O Electric. If I didn't learn right now to not be able to say this, I would say these scooters look so gay. But I'm not allowed to say.
Can't say that.
Vespa-esque in design, the light electric vehicles hit speeds of 20 miles.
The commuter scooter by Ojo Electric.
Look at that thing. How many are they deploying? We already have, 9,000 scooters. God knows how many bikes.
It looks like you know what it looks like? It looks like a Vespa with no motor.
Yeah, it does look like a Vespa. And it has a little box on the back that you can put your dog.
You're going down the street with this dangerous little guy. Can't get if he gets to 25 miles an hour, it'd be a miracle.
No, 20. 20 is Austin regulation. 20 miles an hour. But it has that little box on the back. You can put your dog in there.
It says, little baskets. It's got baskets.
What am I hearing?
I don't want to say, well.
What am I hearing there, John? What's going on?
I'm playing the video.
Oh, okay. No, I understand.
I'll kill it. Usually you can't hear it. Motion alarm said I turned off the sound. Wireless key fob. Ooh. 25-mile range. Oh, brother. Top speed, 20. You're right.
Yeah.
That is the top speed. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah. And just more shit on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, there are people are taking it on their yacht. That's what they're doing. They took a little drive to their yacht and they threw it in the back.
Meanwhile, although people are getting hurt, and I don't like to see that, people are going
to get hurt with all these things.
Something beautiful is happening in Switzerland. The Lime scooters all received a software update, which is an over-the-air update. And I'll read the headline. Lime halts scooter service in Switzerland after possible software glitch. Throws users off mid-ride. Yes, here's what happens. So you're riding along at 20 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden its anti-theft kicks in, which locks the whole thing up. And you go,
flying, yeah.
Boom. This is the way to do it. We got to get into their updates. Can you imagine? You hit it and it goes backwards. There's all kinds of cool stuff we could do. Now, I don't want people getting hurt. But
there's another one that right after this ran off of YouTube, another one called the Xiaomi Mi electric scooter review by some millennial who's got he's got the throat beard. He's got the whole scruffy look to him. And he's going on and on, mostly promoting himself, but he's going to eventually review a scooter. I don't think we need this.
In the cities of Basel and Zurich, scooters have been taken off the road for safety checks after multiple reports of people injuring themselves after their scooters braked abruptly while in use. The company sent out a notice to users presented in screenshots below. In German, the folder. Okay. No, it currently is investigating whether the malfunction is due to a software fault where an update of the software causes a scooter inadvertently to reboot during a ride, thus engaging the anti-theft immobilization system. But if you've been thrown off, they will give you a 15-minute credit.
What? They should give you a doctor's appointment and all the injuries fixed. You get killed to get thrown off something like that.
This shit show is just starting. It's really funny though. And then we get these. I looked at that the article about the Vespa scooter. Was it the Ojo?
Yeah,
look
Ojo.
at that. Anyone if you're listening, go look at the show notes when they're up. NAShownotes.com. And you can see this map of where all these things are deployed. It's really a small area of downtown where they're just flooding the place. And we walk on the street, it's just everywhere. There's things laying around. Scooters, bikes, now these Vespas.
People
don't give a shit about God.
All right, let's go listen to Maduro out of Venezuela, get a little update on him. We hear him speaking a little bit, and he's blaming everything on Trump.
Venezuela is the center of a world war of U.S. imperialism and its allied governments, and they have tried to turn this formal, legal, constitutional, and peaceful ceremony into a world war against our country.
The U.S. and its allies have refused to recognize Maduro's presidency, calling last year's election illegitimate. Other Latin American leaders, including Evo Morales of Bolivia, Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua, and Miguel Diaz-Canel of Cuba, welcomed Maduro's re-election and joined Thursday's inauguration in Caracas. The Trump administration's continued to ratchet up sanctions against Venezuela, even as its economy faces hyperinflation with severe shortages of food and medicine. About 3 million Venezuelans have left the country in recent years, with many settling in Colombia and Brazil.
Yeah, that's just going down the tubes. Of course, she kind of sides with this Maduro character.
Even though he's the Trump of Venezuela?
No, Maduro?
Isn't that what you said?
No, he's blaming Trump.
Oh, he's blaming Trump. I was going to say.
No, he's not the Trump of Venezuela.
No,
that would be worse.
Of course she's on board. Because we have immigration, illegal entry, let's just say that. Illegal entry because we fucked up all the South American countries. That's basically that's the story right there, which is also Trump's fault.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, 40 years, 50 years of policy is Trump's fault. That makes sense. Well, what also makes sense is to flash back for a moment. The news came to us that the brain damage caused to employees of the United States Embassy in Cuba, that really just was because of crickets. And it's just crickets. And
we did get a note from someone.
Oh, yeah. We got notes from people who live in the region. And I've said I've heard crickets all my life. I don't have brain damage. That's what he says. We can't prove it, of course.
Could have. But these people were, were physically ill, but the word came out. It's crickets. Everyone's like, oh, what a joke! Wow, so glad it was just crickets. Wasn't some directed energy weapon or anything. Oh man, woo, that's good. I think all the M5M are on board. Everyone is good with it. Everyone's cool to go, right? Have you seen anything else? Then oh wow, jeez, we're a bunch of dopes. It was just crickets. I'd like to just go back to the Andrea Mitchell show on MSNBC. For her reporting when this first took place and just recognize what she was saying and what her sources are.
The bizarre incidents beginning last October left a group of U.S. diplomats with severe hearing loss, blamed on what one official says could have been a surveillance device deployed inside or outside the Americans' Havana residences, which are all owned by Cuba's government. Several U.S. agencies, the CIA, FBI, and State Department's Diplomatic Security Service are all investigating.
We don't know exactly where this came from, okay? We can't blame any one individual or a country at this point yet. An investigation is underway. We take that very seriously.
Canada also says some of its diplomats in Havana also suffered symptoms.
El Ministerio enfatiza categóricamente.
In Havana, a Cuban newscaster says the government is investigating and, quote, Cuba has never nor would it ever allow that the Cuban territory be used for any action against accredited diplomatic agents or their families. So who's responsible? Perhaps a third country. Some suggest possibly even Russia, where there has been a surge of harassment and outright attacks against U.S. diplomats in recent years. Or just a surveillance attempt gone terribly wrong, says a former CIA veteran.
I personally think it was an accident, a surveillance attempt. I do not think the Cubans would attack us physically like that, especially given the timing.
The U.S. has already expelled 2 Cuban diplomats from Washington because of the unexplained illnesses in Havana. Only a first step, depending on the investigation. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
Oh, no! So it was not the CIA. It was not any other intelligence service. It was not the shill she brought in. It was none of those people. It was not the State Department who said this was crickets. It was a bunch of jamokes who took a recording from Associated Press that they say was the recording, and they matched up the waveform, looked just like crickets. Mystery solved. Everybody's on board. Bullshit. Disgusting.
I don't get how everybody got on board after those early reports. We played both of the ones that we had in the archives. And it doesn't make any sense unless the early reporting was completely bullcrap.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like all of their stuff that's really true.
Yeah, it sounds very believable, and seems like they did some work on it, and they even brought a CIA shill in there who kind of hemmed and hawed, which was made with, at the time, that's what I thought. I said, well, CIA had something to do with this because of the way that guy reacted. But the rest of this is crazy. And it's being dropped. Nobody's going to follow up on this.
Some kind of memo went out, and I was like, okay, it's crickets. Shut up. That's your news.
Yeah, that's your news.
Have you heard about the Earth's magnetic field moving faster than expected?
Well, I would expect to hear something like that, but...
Well, it's starting to get a little bit of reporting.
Okay. We know it's wandering a bit.
Well, it always does, and as an aviator,
it flips every so often.
Yeah, well, as an aviator, you often have to have your because you have magnetic north and true north, and you have to have your compass adjusted when magnetic north changes, and this happens typically at a 15 mile per hour rate. They kind of, it's we have. I guess you didn't know the Earth is filled with all kinds of liquid molten goo that is magnetic. And now it's picked up its pace, and the goo is moving at almost 50 miles an hour, pushing the actual North Pole, magnetic North Pole, closer to Siberia. And the only place you really hear about this right now is people who work on GPSs and stuff like that, because you have to change some of the code to take these small deviations into account. But you don't think that could change anything on, like, I don't know, a global scale, do you?
Well, like what? What are you suggesting?
I don't know, the weather?
Well, change
the rotation. Do we get another wobble, or do we wobble more? Or
I don't think we wobble more unless they gabagoo in the middle is getting unbalanced. That'd be kind of interesting.
Well, that's what it seemed. Well, no one knows. Geologists don't understand.
Nobody knows anything.
Right. But yet climate change is we're all in, science is in, shut up, it's all good to go. We don't even know what's happening inside the Earth.
I didn't know it was increasing.
Yes.
Well, maybe we're ready for a flip. I mean, it could happen in our lifetime. Seems unlikely.
I thought we had a flip.
Expecting.
I thought we had a flip a couple of years ago. It flipped.
No, we didn't have a flip a couple of years ago.
I thought we did.
In your lifetime?
Yes. Where the poles reversed.
The north was south and the south was north? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you that I remember something like that. Yeah, pole reversal. The poles have reversed frequently over the history of the planet. The last reversal, was only 780,000 years ago. See, in my lifetime.
Yeah, well, you're an old man then.
Okay.
So 780,000 years or so, it reverses.
We're about due.
But what they're expecting, they don't talk about this so much, is that in the process of reversing, the poles actually, there's not enough influence, north and south pole, that it kind of shuts down before it flips. So we get to see the aurora borealis everywhere. Oh,
not only that, satellites will fall from the sky.
Well, I don't know if anything's going to fall.
Earth will see a geomagnetic apocalypse.
Now you're going, no, you're reading from the global warming.
No, I'm actually reading from National Geographic.
From what year?
January 31st, 2018.
And it says that the satellites are going to fall from the sky?
Well, it says that's what people think might happen. It literally says we are all going to...
Just because if things flip doesn't mean gravity is going away anytime soon.
We are all going to die eventually, but chances are that we will not immediately perish when Earth's next geomagnetic reversal occurs. That's their conclusion.
Okay, good.
It's here. Okay, if it happens soon, won't that be bad? Unclear. Scientists estimate the past polar flips have been rather sluggish, with north and south migrating to opposite positions over thousands of years. This is both good and bad if you're concerned about how a geomagnetic... Blah, 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 blah. All right, no one knows anything. Nothing. But if we can stay with climate change, there is something, a great idea. And I'd like us to push this idea. to save the world from nasty CO2. And the BBC came up with it. Roger Harabin, the BBC environmental analyst. So we know that consumption of meat, contributes largely to, what do they call it? Carbon pollution. All right? Cow, the farts from the cow, just the processing, just all of this stuff. So what have people been asking us to do?
Hold your breath.
No, eat bugs.
Oh, yeah, bugs.
They've been pushing, have people eat bugs. You see bugs everywhere, bugs on the menu. Now, people have some kind of reluctance to eating bugs. I think you and I have a reasonably big reluctance to eating bugs, certainly to save the earth.
We're not reptilian.
But BBC has a great idea. Pet food manufacturers should be forced to make pet food from bugs.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
This is a great idea.
Huh.
And it kind of puts two of our favorite memes together. Dogs are people, and let them eat bugs.
Well, a lot of what dogs eat are byproducts of the meat industry.
Mm-hmm.
Where are those byproducts going to go now?
No, there'll be less. We'll just have, less. I don't know. I like the idea. Feed your dog bugs.
It's definitely a trendy idea.
Yeah, and then the dogs, eventually they'll get all angry and start attacking their owners.
Yeah, that's your wishful thinking.
It says it right here in National Geographic.
Confused. Here, play this. This is I have I do have a global warming story. Global warming report. This is the latest oceans warming.
Climate News, a major new study published in the journal Science, finds the world's oceans are absorbing heat at a far faster rate than previously predicted, a finding with troubling implications for the future of life on Earth. The study found greenhouse gas emissions are warming the oceans 40% faster than even the dire predictions made by the UN's top climate scientists 5 years ago. The authors write, quote, "This warming has contributed to increases in rainfall intensity, rising sea levels, the destruction of coral reefs, declining ocean oxygen levels, and declines in ice sheets, glaciers, and ice caps in the polar regions."
Whoa. Yes.
Lots of stuff happening.
Tons of stuff going on there.
Yeah. Flip. Let me look at the window. Yeah, same thing. Nothing's changed. I want to play a couple more clips of this William Arkin guy who has this new book out. We didn't do.
Yes, this is the writer but journalist
who left. Bull crap, and
he left.
They're all just a bunch of spooks. Let's play his take on the FBI.
Well, there's a crazy collateral damage of Donald Trump, and that is that there are a lot of liberals in America who believe that the CIA and the FBI is going to somehow save the country from Donald Trump. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not a particular fan of either the CIA or the FBI, and the FBI in particular has a deplorable record in American society from Martin Luther King and the peace movements of the 1960s all the way up through Wen Ho Lee and others who have been persecuted by the FBI. And there's no real evidence that the FBI is either is that competent of an institution to begin with in terms of even pursuing the prosecutions that it's pursuing. But yet we lionize them. We hold them up on a pedestal that somehow they're the truth tellers, that they're the ones who are getting to the bottom of things when there's just no evidence that that's the case.
He never wants to work again. Is that his general mission?
Slam.
Is that what he's looking for? I don't need work. I made plenty on my books. Wow.
Yeah, he definitely goes after him. This is what we heard before from other super progressive, the real left.
Yeah.
Remember those black guys that they have a podcast, and they were going on baffled by the fact that all these progressives are talking about how great the FBI is when it's been known to be a kind of a horrendous operation, not doing anyone any good.
That's fantastic.
But, Amy's still irked about the fact that she's, a stooge.
Yes, she's working in stooge land, and she has to listen to this guy. Go tell her about herself. He does not like it.
Not good.
You got another one from him?
Let's play. He's got a little thing on the Information Society option. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Well, there's no question that the national security establishment has grown and it has become far more powerful than it ever was. But here's the change. We've shifted from the industrial age to the information age. And consequently, we've also shifted from the dominance of the military-industrial complex, if you will, to a much more insidious and much more difficult to diagnose information complex. So the advent of contractors, the advent of a professional military, which means that the military itself touches fewer and fewer lives in America, all of those work together to make the national security state more and more embedded within our society, but yet at the same time more difficult to get to, more difficult to understand. So most people would be surprised to learn, for instance, that Amazon is one of the largest defense contractors, that they're building the cloud and they're building the data centers which support the intelligence community and support the military. And there are other civilian companies that we associate with being civilians who are also terrific beneficiaries of the military's largesse. So to me, to diagnose properly where we stand today, the point of the Top Secret America investigation was to show the wild growth of all areas of national security and this new invention of homeland security, if you will, but at the same time to point out that it wasn't something that was necessarily segregated from our society. It was more and more embedded within our society, and that made it more and more difficult to analyze properly and to do something about.
Oh, I wanted to hear what Amy said to that.
She just pushed him on to the next topic. She didn't say anything.
Oh, my. Yeah. Well, there it is. It's just, there will be no news. By the time it's time to elect a new president, it's nothing. And we're riding this ship all the way to the bottom.
We're riding this baby all the way.
All the way to the bottom.
As long as we get the support to ride this baby, we will.
Yes. And we appreciate the support we received today. And we're twice a week now on Thursdays. So even though I said Sunday, I meant Thursday. And today is Sunday. And so
yeah, it's expected.
I have an overexposure of fake news coursing through my veins. That's what causes it. Thank you all for supporting the show. Thank you for producing. And remember that we will be back on Thursday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. I am coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State and dockless mobility in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, my name's Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, where we say, go Chiefs, go Rams. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
Ow.
In the morning.
Everyone is trying to figure out who the Democrats will run.
I have plenty of time to consider whether or not to run for the president. We have really qualified people out there.
Interesting results here. First of all, almost a third, 29%, said someone else. I don't know.
Senator Ojeda tells 13 News he's stepping down in order to focus on his run for president in 2020.
George W. Bush, everybody said, oh, he's the one you could want to have a beer with. Yeah, he'll make a great president because we want to get drunk with him.
Yeah.
Is that worse for a woman, though, that whole idea?
Well, I think that women are held to a different standard.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
She's now revealed that the beer she was sipping was a Michelob Ultra, what she calls the club soda of beers and her favorite.
I have decided to run and will be making a formal announcement within the next week.
Whoa.
Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, she's the one that I think is interesting to watch because she does very well in rural areas, which is not something most Democrats can say these days.
In the morning.
So if Mike were to run, doing it as an independent wouldn't work. Whether he actually runs as a Democrat, I don't know. I know he'd be the best person to be president.
Yo soy candidato para presidente de los Estados Unidos.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. I never sucked any ding-dongs. Sucking a ding-dong. Sucking a ding-dong. I never sucked any ding-dongs. Sucking a ding-dong. I never sucked any ding-dongs. There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. I never sucked any ding-dongs. But I'll tell you, they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one. I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose. Sucking a ding-dong. I never sucked any ding-dongs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
There was a lot of butt squeezing.